Hello everyone and welcome back to GPVW Super League. The 2025 championship is hotting up and coming to its climax. We are here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, which a lot of people, including myself, would say should probably be the location for the final round of the season. But whatever the case, this is always one that the drivers, the fans, the spectators, the teams all look forward to because it is a terrific venue for racing. It is also potentially the location where we're going to see the championship wrapped up. Loic Mounier has a chance, I'd say a chance, because it's not too realistic to wrap it up today. He leads by 5 points, as you can see. But Ed Hunter, who's alongside me in the commentary box today, I ask you this. Do we really have a chance of seeing the championship wrapped up today when Jarl Tyne, Jan Granqvist and Tom Stevens are all technically still in contention and Tyne is just 5 points back?
Well, you can never say never, and let's give full credit to Loic Mounier, who has performed so strong this season, brilliantly won last time out at Singapore as well. We do know, by the way, that Jarl Tyne, THR deciding to take a risky strategy and they're changing the engine. So Jarl Tyne will have a fresh engine for the race, but it means he is going to start at the back of the grid. So Moynier, in theory, at least has got the advantage, but of course, Grankvist, if he wins and Moynier is like 4th or 5th, then I think Grankvist can still be in it. Stevens, though, I think really needs everybody else to have a horrendous day and finish ahead of Grankvist, essentially, to stay in contention, which I don't quite see happening. I think THR are inevitably going to prioritize Tyne, especially if Tyne starts behind. Stevens is going to try and play the sort of front guard action and hold them up and race with them so that Tyne can catch them and deal with them a little bit easier. But yeah, it's interesting. It's sort of THR have taken that qualify outside the top 15 strategy. You've used it several times to good effect. Monza comes to mind most clearly as the most effective example of that, and they're relying on that again. So yeah, you can definitely not rule out Jarl Tyne even starting at the very back of the grid, but certainly it gives Moynier a clearer, potentially at least, if he doesn't mess up qualifying, a clearer start at the beginning of this. So it's unlikely, as you allude to, but I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, exactly right, and it's an unusual thing to see happen in GPVWC Super League, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. You can see the rest of the championship standings, or at least the top 10, on your screen right now. Shimon Frelick still holds on to 5th, although he is returning to the championship after one round away to find that he is no longer in mathematical contention. Maciej Winnick is P6 in the championship, although has not scored in the last 3 rounds. He will be hoping for better today. Carlos Martin is P7. I think he was one of the drivers caught up in the disconnect last time, along with Maciej Winnick. Stefan Roll is P8, followed by Tomasz Vok, and Matthew Williams somehow holding on to 10th place in the championship, despite not having been present at any of the last 10 races, which is quite something. Whoa, that was a big slide there from, I think that is our championship leader, Loic Meunier, that we're watching. But he gathers it up just about. Now, Ed, well, one thing that I was going to say is that of all the tracks to take a fresh engine, this place is possibly one of the ones that makes more sense, because you can very much overtake here, and you see the resplendent golden livery there, the 2025 Champions livery on the side of the THR, showing you that they have indeed wrapped up the Constructors' Championship already. But yeah, it's still an unusual thing to see happen in GPVWC Super League, and I'm wondering how they actually got so low on engine life in the first place, and why they've elected to take that penalty today.
Yeah, it's a interesting. It's definitely an interesting development. The THR with the sort of turquoise filter all over it. It looks a little bit like it's fallen out of one of the Tron movies. I don't know, but I guess they've already got a turquoise team in Fraser Tartan Racing as well. As we see Jose Soriano going up to 8th. That's a pretty impressive first lap on the board, but still plenty of time left to come out of the Autodromo Carlos Pache here. And Grankvist, who set pole at Singapore and was so cruelly denied. Milnek as well, cruelly denied by a disconnection, as you rightly point out, Caitlin. I think Carlos just got mugged and crashed into on the first couple laps of Singapore, and he ended up crashing out at the final corner. So I don't think Carlos was he did get disconnected in Mexico, but he was just a bit unlucky because of other drivers, not because of his internet in Singapore. But yes, there's Sandeep Singh then, first flying lap. But now he goes into 8th, displaces Lalu and Soriano. So definitely feels like that 1 minute 5.8 target seems to be the sort of baseline time that all the midfield fluctuating towards. But yeah, I think Grankvist, his title aspiration is very clear what he needs to do. He just needs to win and hope that Milnek, Stevens, Vak, Panzer, all of those guys are in between him and Moynier. Moynier has abandoned his first couple of laps and gone back to the pit lane then. So we've got both our title contenders at the moment. No time on the board in his opening few minutes. So interesting there. So from just looking at the development race, which is also where we can see the engine life, you can see THR, there we go, car number 34, Jarl Tyne has got 100% because they changed the engine. So I think this is purely because of the 2 accidents that Tyne had earlier in the season. Remember, Australia and Japan, of course. Australia crashed on his own. Japan, he caused a massive pileup with his teammate Tom Stevens. Both of them sort of instigating by not leaving enough room in the S's, which is certainly something they'll be keen to forget. Easy to forget. I was listening back to the commentaries to look at Moynier lighting up the first sector, and THR were, after the first 3 rounds, 6th in the Constructors' Championship, and now they've wrapped it up with 2 rounds to spare as well. So that really shows you the turnaround and how hard they've worked to really put themselves in that position. First lap on the board from Moynier. It's going to be second fastest. Brilliant first and final sectors there, and he's 22 hundredths behind Grankvist then. So suddenly, Jan has got a lot more company for pole position.
You're right, and we should mention, of course, that there is an actual qualifying session going on right now. And keeping an eye on the times as it happens, you can see Carlos Martin there going across the line into 3rd position. And this is likely to be one of the closest qualifying sessions of the year, just because of how close the field is anyway, and also because of how short this circuit is. Definitely the shortest lap times that we'll see on any circuit of the calendar. As Shimon Frelich goes 5th and then runs a little wide at turn 1, but it doesn't matter too much because he's already got that lap in. And Grankvist looks set to improve his lap yet further, although he might, I thought it looked as if he was lining it up to the pits, but he just wants to take the absolute shortest line he can to the line, and it's worked out with a 105.435, which is the fastest lap we've seen today so far, over 1/10 of a second faster than Loic Mounier, and that will be provisional pole position for the time being, although with over 8 minutes left in the session, we're still expecting the times to tumble.
Indeed, there's Lucas Murno, who you will remember, wasn't he the driver that scored that brilliant P8 for Stax, wasn't it, at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez a couple of races ago? So as we see his teammate Soriano going up to P7, just behind Stevens there. Good effort so far. But yeah, Murno is certainly hot property now, and this, of course, is home race. So remember, earlier on Tuesday, he had that brilliant drive in Superlights to win there, just holding off on older tyres, a number of other drivers then. So Lucas Murno is certainly someone that we should keep half an eye on, who's outside of our champion in Superlight, who was Jose Soriano, of course, isn't it? Murno is one of the other sort of big graduates looking to move up to Super League next season as well. So you do sense there's all these rookie drivers that are making a big name for themselves and making a case to stay in these cars next season. Then as we see Sandeep Singh has pulled a great lap out the back, 105.6. That puts him 5th fastest as Murno goes up to 15th place. And Milnek steals provisional pole away from Jan Grankvist, and it looks like Jeffrey Fournier is also on a bit of a flyer here too. Let's see where this puts him.
Yep, fantastic lap from Winnick, but Fournier may be about to go close to the front. He goes 5th position, just in front of his teammate Singh. And we have to say, actually, congratulations to Sandeep Singh for officially wrapping up that Formula Sprint 2 championship since the last broadcast. We all knew it was going to happen pretty much right from the start of the year. He was very much the class of the field, but he has now officially wrapped that up, and with a win to his name as well at the very end there, just to put the rubber stamp on the I don't know where I'm going with that, but I'm getting distracted by the first sector time we've just seen from Loic Mounier. It's a true purple, which means fastest time we've seen from anyone. Not just faster than Mathieu Winnick, but faster than all of the other drivers as well. He's coming through the middle sector. That was a little bit wide, but he was still on the curb, so track limits are not an issue there. The bigger issue would be if the car got a little unsettled over the curb, and you can see just how ragged he is, through how on the limit he is through Subido de boxes and up towards the final corner here. And I think he may have lost that lap with the second sector. It was 1/10 down and he comes into the pits. So still more chances for Mounier with plenty more time to go in the session, and he's made it back to the pits, meaning he will be allowed to go out again, but that one will not be the fastest.
Oh, he's had some superb qualifying laps to get on pole throughout the season, hasn't he? So, yeah, Moynier, a part of the thing that's been so impressive is that he's on the limit in qualifying, and then come the races, so smart, so strategic, always seemingly putting his car in the right position at the right moment. Stevens, though, displaces him, goes third fastest, and that is absolutely crucial for Jarl Tyne to have his teammate in front of his championship rival then. So, yeah, Moynier not being able to nail that lap has had big consequences here.
So here's Alex Laho now coming through the middle sector. I'm trying to remember all of the corner names on the circuit, because this is one of those lovely old school circuits that does have
Bico de
actual
Pato.
corner names. I was going to say Bico de Pato,
Regulo.
the Duck's Bill. Okay, show off here next to me.
Somebody's got a map out.
Knows all of the corner names. Fantastic. And then up through the final corner. This is looking good. This should be top 10, I think.
It should be. Alex definitely had a really strong race despite being bumped around at Singapore. Still got it home in the top 7. He improves just the one place to go P12 ahead of Soriano then. But it's so tight, just 16 thousandths between himself and Simon Frelick there. So certainly Alex Laho is not far away from the top 10, which his teammate Thomas Vack is currently in. In fact, Vack has set a time identical to 3 decimal places to that of Stefan Ruelt. So that shows you just how tight it is to get into the competitive positions there. As Milnek, our provisional pole setter, going in, followed by his teammate Ruelt. And you've got to say, for Maciej Milnek, he may not be in title contention, but after all the horrendous disconnections he's had, I think the last 3 races in a row, I think he definitely seems to have got something to prove, trying to take his 2nd win of the season to build on what he did at Indianapolis as well. So I think Maciej Milnek is another driver that might be thinking more about practicing ahead of next season, where he might have another realistic title shot.
Exactly right. Moritz Kropp now up to the line. It goes 23rd, jumps ahead of some of the drivers who are potentially going to be footnotes in this qualifying session due to various things, such as Jarl Tyon's penalty. Jorge Martinez and Alessandro Maggio also have penalties, so they will be starting towards the back of the field. We've got a couple of drivers here who we weren't expecting necessarily to be on the grid today. David Fidok says he was called up with about 20 laps of practice for this one. So former champion David Fidok will be racing today for Edge Esports with very little practice indeed, but is actually doing quite a good job in 16th position. And then Menno Klont makes his first outing of the season, first outing since Australia last year, actually, for his own team, Adonis Esports. A big kick of oversteer there for Jan Granqvist, and I don't think this lap's going to be an improvement. It may have been without that mistake at Junsao, but that's such an easy mistake to make as you put on the acceleration, put on the accelerator. Downforce is all well and good, but when you're moving slightly slower, such as on the exit of a tight corner like that, trying to put down all of that power is like trying to strap a jet engine to a leaf. It just goes blowing off in a bizarre direction.
Very colourful metaphor, Caitlin. It's a good thing we've got plenty of those in the back pocket. But I agree with you. It's absolutely fantastic to watch here. The sort of sudden direction change, everybody on the ragged edge. And we see through Jun Chao, Thomas Vack absolutely demonstrating that in the Road to Formula. What can the Polish driver do? Yet to finish on the podium this season. How dearly he would love. Oh no, he's pulling it in that middle sector, 3/10 down. And we saw him losing time just before Jun Chao. He does a little drift in the pit lane. And I've just noticed that Brazilian flag on the side of the Holland racing team. So Owen McGorgy has put together a lovely new livery for them. And in return, Stefan Ruel has put together a fantastic first sector, 2/10 down in the middle, but still up on his personal best. Oh, he just gets caught on the curb there. It's like being on a skateboard and being stuck in the railings. It's so frustrating. I think Ruel's going to bail out of that one, but we're running out of time. Less than 2 minutes to go in this qualifying session. And at the moment, Milnek still 800ths ahead of Jan Granqvist in that fight for pole position.
Yeah, I have a little bit of insider information on that special livery for Holland Racing Team. Apparently it's in honor of their partner Armaroli, who is a Brazilian company who has been with Holland Racing Team for 20 years now, so they had to do something to celebrate that. And wow, indeed, because in sim racing terms that is an absolute lifetime. But back to the session, Jukka-Pekka Lalu here, teammate to Jan Granqvist in that Super Venturi car, through the end of the first sector. Through the Retroposter is the previous straight. He's going up towards the Ferradura and Laranjina. I believe I've pronounced that completely wrong. Yeah. Laranjina, Curva du Laranjina, turn 7. I now also have that map up, but anyway.
There we go. It wouldn't have to be 2019 layout, would it? I might just have the same corner numbers on it, but anyway. Here is Lalu just finishing off the lap as he goes through Jun Chao and uphill through Sabido's boxes. And Yeah, Lalu, he's not had an amazing season, really, even by his own standards. But as he goes into the pits, I think he knew that lap was going to be a tricky one. And yeah, certainly, it's been a bit frustrating for Lalu because he's had the odd good round here and there where he's finished sort of top 8 or so. But then he's had these other rounds where he's been a little bit anonymous and struggled to really make an impression. And I think this generation of car in particular just really does not seem to play to his strengths, and I think he's only occasionally been able to overcome that.
Okay, keep an eye on this lap from Grangfist now. Grangfist is in, and Alex Lahoe actually with a good first sector as well. Even faster than Grangfist by the look of it. Okay, I was going to say keep an eye on Jan Grangfist.
Middle sector.
Oh, but the middle sector's down. You're absolutely right. Made a mistake and a big twitch out of Jun Sao. Okay, let's take a look at Grangfist if we can, because he is on a charge for that pole position. Slightly down in the middle sector, but nowhere near as much time lost. And if he's had a good third sector here, he may still be able to drag something out of this. This is just how tight the margins are here at GPVWC Super League, that this is going to come down to less than a tenth of a second. Across the line he goes. It's less than half a tenth of a second that separates the top two towards the end of the session, but that will only be second for Jan Grangfist. Carlos Martin moves up into 4th place. Sven Schubert's going to cross the line, P19. Tomasz Vok, I think, is coming up to the line now.
Oh, Moynier P4.
P7. So Vok goes P7. Moynier P4. You're absolutely right. So the driver who, I tell you what, if they were to finish in these positions today, Moynier would have very nearly wrapped up the championship. He needs to be at least second today to have a chance of wrapping up the championship mathematically. But of course, being just 2 positions back and with anything to play for in the race, he could still do it today. Really depends on the likes of Jarl Tyen and the rest of the field, to be honest, everything that's going on around him. But Maciej Winnick has been the class of the field in this qualifying session and very narrowly takes pole position by less than half a tenth of a second from Jan Grangfist, the reigning champion, who is fighting just to keep his championship hopes mathematically alive. Tom Stevens is 3rd, then Loic Mounier, the championship leader, qualifies 4th place and on the 2nd row of the grid. Carlos Martin is P5, Jeffrey Fournier P6, although that has just changed according to, well, somebody's left the server, haven't they? Then it's Tomasz Vok, Robin Panzer, Stefan Ruhl, and Sandeep Singh there, the FS2 champion, qualifying in 10th position. Then it's Shimon Frelich, Alex Lahoe, Jose Soriano, Lucas Murno, so the 2 green strikes both in the top 15. Then Dylan Fisher, David Fidok P16 despite only 20 laps of practice, not bad at all. Jakub Lalu, Michael Falkenhayn, who returns for just his 2nd Super League start and 1st since Germany. Then it's Sven Schubert and Moritz Kropp rounding out the top 20, the 2 Fraser Tartan Racing cars. Then it's Mark Schluter. What a dismal season he's been having. About this time last year, he was fighting for the championship. Heiko Poom is P20, well, that'll be P22 actually. Then Scott Flack and Daniel Scott, the all-Scott Stax Racing team. And Jarl Tyen, of course, will start right from the back of the grid, along with Alessandro Maggio, who has a grid penalty, as does Jorge Marquinez. So Menno Klont will start ahead of all of those drivers. And Ruben van den Hudding is turning up for Valley Esports there. But we do also have 2 cars missing, so we'll have to work out which 2 cars those are. But anyway, we'll get that to you in a little bit. In the meanwhile, let's take a look at the highlights of the last race at Singapore, which was a fantastic little scrap, which ended up in a victory. Not to spoil it or anything, but ended up in a victory for the championship leader. It's go. Jan Grangfist leads them away. Now watch as Maciej Winnick tries to cover off Loic Mounier, and the 2 THRs come through in the background as well. They've already got up the inside of Adam Maguire, who I think will actually hold on to P5 and splits the 2 THRs as he did in quali. And into the wall there goes one of the 2 Adonis cars, Xavi Rose, with a little touch, and he's just behind one of the one of the Edge esports cars. There was a little bit of contact there and hopefully not too much damage. That was a lot like the start of the actual Singapore Grand Prix. Jeffrey Fournier here in 9th position and just behind, whoa, and over the curbs there goes Stein Handgraf, just about keeping it out of the wall. It's Jose Soriano in the other Green Stripes car, who's a few positions higher, but a good start as well for Handgraf, who's already made up 2 positions. We're watching Sergio Fletcher here, and I think it may have been either himself or his teammate Maggio. Oh, and there's Maggio locking up and going into the back of the car in front of him in turn 1, and that's where Maggio lost his front wing. Fletcher then cut across the escape lane.
Oh, he hits high go.
He does, and that's just a case of the track narrowing as Fletcher's trying to rejoin.
Moynier now is starting to chase after Milnek. And this is a crucial moment in the race then, because he's got that crucial buffer to tie. And oh, as Milnek's internet is already acting up, and now he's behind Moynier. So I said it was crucial. I didn't think it'd be quite that crucial. And Moynier is now into P2.
And this is Sandeep Singh, remember, starting from the pit lane. And he is attempting a maneuver there on
Flak
and spins. Something's happened to Carlos Martin now. He's down to 27th place, starting all the way up in 12th. Comes through the final corner, big spin and crunch. That is a big crash into the wall there for Carlos Martin as Tom Stevens comes into the pits. But Jarl Tyen, if he follows Tom Stevens in, he does, and so does Adam Maguire. So they both come into the pits here. Tom Stevens goes through. He has jumped both of them here.
And as we see, Stevens trying to go around the outside of Pascal Polens. Is he going to make it through there? Yes, he is. That was very, very bold there.
As now Tyen does go for a move, gets up the inside and gets the position made. Very nicely done.
Stevens out being held up by the pair of them. That is not ideal. Bit of contact made with Hygo Poom there. And this is critical for THR's race. They cannot afford to lose time here. Up the inside goes Tom Stevens. A little bit of push to pass employed there, I think.
So he lifted off the throttle, got the switch back, got on the power really early, and then got underneath that Ekie Hero car, and Tyen now is going to get underneath it as well.
Meanwhile, takes the lead.
And Grankvist is in the pits. So Grankvist pits from the lead of the race. Keep an eye on the pit exit. The blue light flashing means there are cars coming through. Tom Stevens is on the outside. Tom Stevens goes through. So and they've all jumped him. Stevens, Tyen and Maguire have all got past Jan Grankvist.
Yeah, and remember, Grankvist has got tyres that are 8 laps fresher as well. As we see, bit of movement in the background as Xavi Ross desperately tries to get past. Soriano has to go wide into the runoff there, and Xavi Ross is able to get past the green stripe.
And Mounier is coming to the pits now as well from the lead of the race, so Maciej Winnick will take over the lead.
And look at this. Moynier could get out a bit further in the queue as he gets out side by side with his teammate Markinev. And Moynier now is just in front of Jarl Tyen, crucially. So that's absolutely critical for the championship as Markinev makes way for both of them. And nearly makes contact with Jarl Tyen. Does make contact through turn 4 there. And now it's Adam Maguire's turn to get through. Look at Markinev using the DRS to try and get back around the outside. That is a bit cheeky, but he's going to leave himself exposed. Maguire goes through, and surely Jan Grankvist is going to fancy a piece of this action as well.
Yep, Grankvist absolutely does. He's going to get to the outside now of Jorge Marquez, and he's going to drive right from the outside of it. No! Yeah, Grankvist is up in the air. The front of that car is destroyed, and he's going to have to make yet another pit stop. And Jan Grankvist, who looked set to win the race, is out. He is out of the race. Now, Marquez doesn't want to give him any room because they are technically fighting for track position. Not to mention that Markinev is Mounier's teammate. They just lock wheels. That's also unfortunate for Markinev because I think he wanted to give Grankvist a bit more room than that, but he was just a little too late in doing so.
Meanwhile, Maciej Milnek has pit from the lead and come out right behind Lloyd Moynier.
Stefan Roll now pits, so Stevens is back to the lead in his battle with Lloyd Mounier. Tom Stevens, he can slow Loic up as much as he's physically able to, and now he comes into the pits as Dylan Fisher there goes for a move on Sven Schubert, gets through into 15th.
Leho versus Soriano side by side, and that is Soriano trying to get through and unable to do so as we see Tyen and Maguire diving into the pits at the same time.
And Tom Stevens will go through just as he did in the first pit window. In fact, his gap is going to increase, and we're not surprised about that considering the laps that he put in.
There's Schluter. Schluter jumps Maguire. Gorgie in trouble.
Look at this, he's been run into from behind by an Adonis car. Now, which Adonis car was he running in front of?
Oh, please don't tell me that was Panzer. I think it was Panzer. Oh no, second race in a row that he's just clonked into the back of someone. Last time it was Kilk. So there we go. They get past Soriano and then just late on the brakes. It says don't send it on the back of the TOP. And I think Robin Panzer needs to go back to Specsavers because he didn't read that one properly. Something happened to Soriano because Ruhl and Panzer both got past him that lap. And now Tom Stevens fancies to go. So I think that Green Stripes might be in a little bit of difficulty. And he backs right off to let Stevens through.
It's clear that fresh tyres give you a massive advantage here. That's why we've seen so many undercuts. Stefan Rolt there goes for a move on Chris Shepherd and makes it work. And Stevens with the DRS will go through sooner rather than later. Up the inside.
Be interested to see how the other Adonis of Xavi's, we're about to see his teammate Robin passed by Yartan. There we go, they swap over. So Tom Stevens, knowing Yartan's on the fresher and indeed the softer compounded tyre, has got the better chance of passing Stefan Ruhr at this phase of the race. Jarl looking very close.
Yeah, Tyne's going to go through on the inside here. He's going to get the DRS open and they nearly rub wheels into the corner, but he does go through. What happens if, for example, Tom Stevens goes into the final round still in contention for the championship? I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, he's going around the outside.
That's a very bold place. He came together with Mark Schluter here last year. Now he's up the inside of Stefan Roth, and he will make that move stick. There was a little bit of wheel rubbing. Hopefully no damage. And we're going 3 wide on the straight now as well as Panzer and Maguire both go through. Maguire's going to overtake both of them. Fantastic move there from Adam Maguire to keep up with his two sister team cars there. Tom Stevens.
Oh, Tyne hits the wall!
My goodness, Tyne did brush up against the wall there into turn 4, and now he's going to go for a move on Tomasz Vok after nearly ending his race.
You think Alex Lahoe's not going to make it too easy? I mean, Vak already put up a bit of a fight. Up the inside into 14 comes Jarl Tyne. Little bit of contact, but only slight. And Alex Lahoe has to tuck in behind then as Stevens is lining up Vak, his teammate, in the background. He's going to try and go around the outside into turn 15 and 16. There we go.
Was there a lag spike?
Look, there we go. And he moves just a little bit closer. There we go, yeah. Just saw it there. Not as big as Milneck's one earlier, but still.
So Maciej Winnick is up into the lead of the race. Into the pits they both go now. Schluter and Ruhl.
And Tom Stevens as well, crucially.
As Tomasz Vok now goes to the inside of Schubert. That's a late move and there's a little touch. And he's lucky not to get his whole front wing taken off in that one. 2
leaders in, Milneck and Moynier.
And Tyne also comes in, so Adam Maguire will lead the race for a lap. And Stevens comes out just behind his teammate Jarl Tyne as well. Winnick has now got past Jeffrey Fournier, puts another car between himself and Mounier.
As Tyne dives up the inside of right Kilk there, and Stevens is going to follow and make a short work of him as well, it seems.
And Stevens does go through. He's got a long straight to do it in. Maguire comes out in pretty much the same place that he was before, just a couple of seconds behind Tyne and Stevens.
Oh, here we go.
Fournier makes an important move on Fournier there, up the inside. Goes through into 3rd position.
As we see Panzer having a go at Schubert now. Oh, they make contact. And off track goes Robin Panzer. He'll have to give that place back to Schubert, surely. But both Road to Formulas now are going to pull a big gap to this battle. And Robin Panzer has not given the place back. He knows he's already in trouble in this race. And now Schubert is going to lose another position to Chris Shepherd, who goes up the inside at the first corner. And now through comes Rolt and Mark Schluter as well.
So does that mean Panzer will have to give up 4 positions now to give the place to Sven Schubert there? He took the Lewis Hamilton line.
No!
Oh, and there's a collision! Oh, and Sven Schubert backs it into the barriers.
You see Schluter's got the overlap around the outside. He's got the momentum and the fresher tyres. Schubert dives in, misjudges it, and that felt a little bit desperate from Sven, I have to say, considering he just lost a load of positions. Stevens has been let back through into 5th by Jarl Tyne, crucially, while I've been watching this, and this is a replay of the Panzer move. Around the outside, just makes contact and then decides, oh, okay, I'll just carry on then and pretend nothing happened.
So now continues on in 10th position. Maciej Winnick now going for the lead on Xavi Rose and does get through. He'll be followed through in 1 second's time by Loic Mounier. Maybe not actually, because Mounier's hung out to dry on the outside. He'll have another chance here actually, and he goes to the inside, and that's pretty straightforward. If he, to be honest, it looked a little. And
Mounick's out!
And so is Tomasz Vok and Robin Panzer. There's been a mass disconnect out there. Jorge Marquez has disappeared as well, but crucially, the race leader is out of the race.
Both Adonises are out now, I think.
Is out.
Yeah, there we go.
Out as well. My goodness, they're dropping like flies all of a sudden.
Look at this amazing battle just behind Alex Laho between him, Stefan Rott, Chris Shepherd, and Mark Schluter for that final position in the top 6. Rott up the inside out of turn 5 and 6 towards Memorial Corner, and there we go. Textbook move, DRS open for 127.9 for Stevens. He is flying.
Wow, yes. It's the fastest
And around the outside comes Stein.
Adam Maguire. Here he goes. Up to the inside. Nicely done. Fournier breaks pretty early. This battle is not done yet. Stein Handgraf is properly lining him up and does go for a little bit of a lunge. He's up into 8th position now. He is going to go through. So Jarl Tyne does go through into 2nd position here, ahead of Tom Stevens.
As we see Reitkilk going around the outside, and losing it completely. And that's Reitkilk's day done in dramatic fashion. Crucially, that puts Robin Mulling up to 13th now, and Sven Schubert into the final points-paying position.
Yeah, it's a big mistake for Wright. He just braked way too late there and smashes into the barriers. Here comes Loic Mounier through the final couple of corners. Loic for just his 2nd Super League victory. He's had 2 taken away from him due to penalties, but this one should stand. I see no reason why it doesn't. Loic Mounier wins in Singapore by 5 seconds at the end, and that gives him the championship lead. Loic Mounier wins the Singapore Grand Prix, followed by the THR drivers Jarl Tyne and Tom Stevens. And we can say provisionally congratulations to THR for wrapping up the team's championship in fantastic form with 2 races still to go. Adam Maguire was 4th position, then it's Jeffrey Fournier, Stefan Roll, Alex Laho, Stein Handgraf P8 for Green Stripes, then Mark Schluter and Chris Shepherd. Great result for himself as well. And then we can tick over to the 2nd tile if we can. Dylan Fisher P11 and Jose Soriano on his debut P12. Nothing to be sorry about that, and that's something I know. Sorry, that barely worked. Robin Merling P13,
horrendous.
Tygo Poom P14, Sven Schubert P15. Okay, welcome back everyone. We are about to see a thrilling Grand Prix. How can I tell that before it's even happened? Because we are at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pate, and it is always absolutely thrilling here. I know I say that before pretty much every Grand Prix, but this is genuinely possibly the best Grand Prix on the calendar these days, where every year we get fantastic little scraps that start off all the way down at Junção. They finish off pretty much up through Ferradura, and then it's only a few more corners until they can start off again. It's fantastic for the mega slipstreams, the switchback maneuvers, everything that makes GPVWC racing great. We're away on the formation lap, so now is a good time to take a look at the way that we're going to start today's race, the order that they're going to line up in. And you'll notice that Maciej Winnick is at the front of the field for the first time in a little while now. Jan Grankvist alongside him, the reigning champion, is 2nd. Then it's Tom Stevens and Loic Mounier, who we've just discovered is actually using quite a worn engine for this race, especially compared to the other championship contenders. Carlos Martin is P5, then it's Jeffrey Fournier, Tomasz Vok and Robin Panzer, who is P8. And then it's Stefan Roll, Sandeep Singh, Shimon Frelich and Alex Laho. Shimon there returning after a race out for whatever reason he ended up missing Singapore for. We believe he was a little under the weather. Jose Soriano and Lucas Murno, 2 super subs there who have done a great job for Green Stripes ever since coming in. And then Dylan Fisher and David Fidok, who returns to the Edge Esports team. Then it's Jukka-Pekka Lalu, Michael Falkenhayn, Sven Schubert and Moritz Kropp, the 2 Fraser Tartan racing cars there. Fraser Tartan, basically GPWC's equivalent to the V-Carb team in Formula 1. Then it's Mark Schluter, Hugo Poom, Scott Flack and Daniel Scott, the 2 Stax racing cars there, both also using quite old engines. Then it's Menno Klont, Ruben van den Hudding, Jorge Marquez and Alessandro Maggio, with the latter 2 both having grid penalties. Ruben van den Hudding making just his 2nd Super League start and first since 2020 when he made a one-off outing at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Welcome back Ruben van den Hudding. It's his first race in GPWC since that happened. Jarl Tyne will be starting right at the back of the field due to a fresh engine. He was one of the only, well, like, he is the only driver to take an engine penalty this season. And let's see what he can do from P29 on the grid. This is a very crucial race in terms of both the championship fight and in terms of his season as a whole. We're lining up on the grid now and getting ready for 71 laps of racing here at Interlagos in Brazil. Ed Hunter, the hype is real.
It certainly is. So 8th career pole position for Maciej Milek, his first since Silverstone, but it's really all going to be about Ty and avoiding the chaos at the back. This could end in tears if he's not careful.
Okay, we wait for the 5 red lights, and when they go out, we will be underway for 71 laps. As you mentioned, it's all going to be about whether or not Yartine can avoid that traffic, but he does have free tyre choice. Watch the lights, and it's go! Maciej Winnick leads us away now. Manu Klont starting from the pits apparently, but don't be thrown off, he is not leading the race. Maciej Winnick leads into turn 1. Stevens trying to go around the outside of Grankvist. That will turn into the inside for turn 2. And look at Mounier now, who has a good run on him. Grankvist should get the slipstream of Stevens on the exit, that gold livery THR. And then cuts to the inside. Look at Mounier, and he has to back out of that one to avoid his nose getting chopped off. That will give Grankvist a switchback maneuver. Fantastic stuff, but it'll be on the outside for Ferradura, which will turn into the outside for Larangina as well. You can't really go around the outside of somebody all the way through those 2 corners, and he has to settle back in 4th position. Winnick from Stevens, from Mounier, Grankvist and Martin are the top 5 in these early stages. There were a couple of yellow flags, so we'll take a look in a little bit to see if everyone got through it cleanly. We've still got everyone running by the look of it, so that's good to see. And there's Lalu running in 16th place as we come around to end the first lap of the race. Now this is going to be the main overtaking opportunity throughout the course of the day. The lovely run up through Subido de boxes, and then the DRS straight across the well, there you see the DRS activation zone, although we have to wait until the next lap for DRS to be fully active. And still it looks like Winnick was able to hold on to the lead there as the battles raged further down. That was a massive dive from Krop, who goes sideways and takes to the grass, rejoins the track, but drops down to P28, Ed.
Yeah, and crucially, Yartine was so narrowly avoided there as Krupp was rejoining. So instead of being taken out, that's another place gain for Yartine, who's already up to 25th ahead of Jorge Markinev and challenging Van den Hudding for 24th. But yeah, the big loser on that opening lap was definitely Jan Grankvist. You saw Stevens made the better getaway, got up the inside of him, and then Loic Moynier punished it as well. So all of this is absolutely playing down to Maciej Milek. He doesn't care about any of the title contenders, the 3 behind him. He just wants to win this one for himself and for the HRT team. And definitely he has got something to prove, and he's got to hope that that internet holds together. I think everybody, even the neutral fan, is going to be crossing their fingers for Maciej Milek that at least he can get to the end of this one without his internet failing him. As now you see Grankvist desperate to make up ground here. He's in a must-win scenario, isn't he? So he's got to find a way through, as yeah, especially important for these front runners to make hay while they can, while Yartine is stuck in traffic on the harder compounded tyre.
Absolutely. Stevens and Grankvist are both technically still in championship contention, but they both need to take quite a few points out of Mounier to go into the last round of the season still in contention. Look how close Mounier is to the back of Stevens up ahead there. If that had been a tighter corner, he'd have had a proper chance at a dive bomb there, but stays in 3rd place for the time being. The great thing about this circuit though is that you never have to wait too long before your next opportunity, because the laps are just so short. So let's keep watching this as he comes out through the penultimate corner. It's just left-handers to go on this track. You've got the penultimate corner there at Junsao, and then up through Subido de boxes, and you see the DRS, the slipstream. The DRS will open on the back of his car. If he has pushed a pass and he feels like using it now, he'll be laying on that button, and then across the start finish line they go, separated by just 0.3 of a second on that time, and he still stays behind Tom Stevens. We often see these chains forming at the start of GPVWC Super League races. That doesn't mean that it's going to be this way for the entire race. We just have to wait for the first couple of pit stops to come in, and then see how the race is going to play out from there. But he's so close to Stevens, putting him under so much pressure, and Stevens himself has quite a job to stick with Maciej Winnick at the front.
Yeah, don't forget, Tom Stevens has won this race, I think, the last 2 seasons. No, not the last season, because Schluter won last season, but he did win the season before. So Tom Stevens has a very, very strong record here at Interlagos, which he's desperate to keep up here. But Moynier will not want THR effectively dictating his race by keeping Stevens in front of him then, because Tom Stevens could, especially if Matthew Milne disappears off into the distance as this goes on, there is the temptation at least to use Stevens to back Moynier into the clutches of Tyen then. So still a lot of obstacles for Tyen to overcome. He's still stuck behind Van den Hudding, 3/10 ahead of him in that fight for 24th position. He's trying to do effectively what we saw Jan Grankvist try to do in the pouring rain last season. It didn't end too well for Jan on that occasion. In the finale of last season, despite Jan, of course, already sealing last season's championship up at that point, a couple of rounds early. But yeah, Jarl Tyen in the dry. Of course, running so long in the first inning, he doesn't have to overtake everybody in front of him to finish well in this race. But certainly he'll want to be high up in the sort of hard tyre runners. Currently, I think Lalu in 16th is the leader of that pack on the mediums then. Although Tyen is on the hards, he should be able to run pretty long, and that's really realistically the only option he's got to try and make this strategy work for him.
Yeah, you mentioned Tom Stevens there, who won this race in 2023. We actually have 3 former winners of this race on the grid today. Stefan Rohr famously won it in 2021, claiming that lead and the championship on the final lap of the race. And Mark Schluter, of course, who is running a little further down the field, P19, won it last year in a much better season for him. Tom Stevens here, the 2023 winner, as we mentioned, and with that golden livery that I was messaged during the warm-up by Toby Davis saying, "Don't forget to mention our golden livery," which of course I already have done. But yeah. THR, of course, 3-time Super League Constructors and Teams champions now, and they always wrap it up a little later than this in the championship, which is why they haven't really been able to run a special livery before. But they wrapped it up around, well, 2 rounds early this year. Very impressive, as you said earlier, since they were so far down at the start, and as a result, they've been able to sport this fantastic livery coming up to the final round. The only trouble is, because it's so reflective, Shimon Frelick was pointing out in the Discord server earlier, it actually looks a little bit green with all of the grass around.
Yeah, it's an it certainly doesn't look as coordinated, the colour scheme, as it usually does, but certainly THR, I think, given that they've won the team's championship, they can run pretty much within reason, as long as it's not too obscene, whatever livery they like, I guess. So, but yeah, certainly you won't miss them when you see them coming up to you, as we see, there's a bit of movement further down. I think Alex Laho has hit trouble because Lucas Murnos just picked him off for 13th. There he is. Alex really struggling to hold on to the back end out of the center S there. So, yeah, green stripes on the attack. We saw Dylan Fisher also pick off Laho early on. To the outside comes Alex Laho, trying to get back on terms with the local driver Murno, but he's not able to do so on the exit of Desida de Largo. Coming uphill to Ferradura. Again, he goes for the outside. That's very bold, Alex. Surely he's not going to pull that one up, but he is going to try it as he goes into turn 8, and he's going to have the inside for Pinarino. The long bank to left-hander there, and Murno will have to back out there. Full commitment from Alex Laho, and yeah, that was quite a heart-and-mouth moment. I didn't think he was going to do that.
It can't have been more than 10 minutes ago that I was saying it was impossible to go around the outside of those 2 corners. And then Alex Laho, not just around the outside of those 2 corners, but around the outside of the tighter corner following it as well. That was incredible stuff there. Brilliant driving. But Lucas Murno is going to come back at him now, and we cut away to see Stefan Rohr versus Robin Pantar for P8. In the background, though, Lucas Murno did manage to pick off Alex Laho there for P13. And Alex, after that fantastic maneuver, is going to have to do it all over again. He has a chance, though. Look at him in the slipstream, heading down towards Ferradura. Goes to the inside and backs out of it there. And sorry, not Ferradura, that was the Retroposta there, but had to back out of it anyway and maintain that 14th position, just a few laps from the, well, 1 lap after the battle they had before.
that was smart from Murno because he decided, okay, Alex really wants it bad now if he can go around the outside in the middle sector, and he just waited for that long run through Sabito, the boxes, and into the center S because he knew that he was going to be able to breeze back past it with the straight line speed that he had. So now he's able to make a bit of a bid for freedom here. Laho's starting to fall back into the clutches of his teammate Soriano, the Superlights champion. So once again, we got Laho versus Soriano, much like we saw at Singapore. 2024 Superlights champion versus 25 Superlights champion. DRS wide open. Soriano, the Spaniard, breezes through and up to P14, but Laho late on the brakes, desperate to sort of stop the bleeding here as the green straps are phasing through Alex Laho there. So that is Murno, actually, that had a bit of a desync there, and he's back behind Alex Laho, and he's going to try and make the move immediately again. Oh, I really hope they don't do that again, because I think reality might not let them ghost through each other this time. Oh, and there we go. You see my point immediately proved there. As again, this time it's Murno going around the outside and hoping that Laho will let him through, but no such joy. Oh! And again, more contact. This is pretty tense racing here for 14th place, Caitlin.
Yeah, exactly. Someone in the YouTube chat comparing it to Sonoda and Behrman a couple of minutes ago, and absolutely right, with full-on bouncing off each other and everything, but yeah, somehow they've got through that. The thing you saw just now where they were ghosting through each other was potentially a connection issue, a stutter of some variety.
Something happened to Milnek last time, didn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say it's unfortunately becoming quite common. I've seen it before in the game, but the last few times, or the last few races, it's happened quite a bit. Look at Murno now going right round the outside of Alex Laho, not willing to let bygones be bygones, and the battle continues, and it will do on the exit as well. Look at Laho coming straight back at him, to the outside now, down the retroposter, into the corner, and sweeps by, does he? Just about. Look at that. And Jukka-Pekka Lalu with front row seats is thinking, goodness me, am I going to get a chance? But they're side by side the entire way around the track. It's like one car trying to be the widest it can possibly be and slowing them all up. You can see they've lost DRS from Soriano ahead, but what a scrap this is. Absolute cinema.
Yeah, Kino indeed. But yeah, Lalu is on the mediums. So these two, Laho and Murno, pushing each other as hard as they are, they're going to chew through their softs, and surely going to be easy pickings for Lalu if he plays his cards right here. But of course, he's got Sven Schubert, David Feidock, Mark Schluter, Heigo Poom, Daniel Scott, Maggio, Michael Volkenheiner, Daniel Tarn in close proximity. Here comes Lalu. He's going to get a chance up the inside. It's not smart to go free wide here into the center S, and Lalu, oh, more contact, and Murno gets sort of half spun around, but Lalu makes it through. Oh, no, and hits the back. Oh dear. So Murno taps the back of Laho just as he's recovering.
Well, I knew it was going to happen eventually. There was no way that they were going to get through that sequence with all three of them still pointed in the same direction. As you said, it was not a good idea to go into the first corner three wide. Reminds me of 2012 when Hulkenberg and Hamilton went into the corner with a backmarker ahead of them, and we know how that ended up. But yeah, unfortunately, Lucas Murno dumped to the side and drops to the back of the field. But like I said before, it was kind of inevitable. I'm just glad that it ended up being because of a mistake rather than because of an internet connection issue or something like that, because we have seen way too many of those recently. But whatever the case, Ed, we've been battling so hard, we've barely even spoken about strategy here today. Could we take a look at the tyres that people started on potentially? Goodness me. Jukka-Pekka Lalu there, you see, is actually the top driver on medium tyres. As, goodness me, they fight further back, little bit of contact, little bit of a touch between Schluter and... Was it Schluter and Poom? Or Daniel Scott involved, yes, for 19th position, fantastic. Sven Schubert, of course, is the highest driver on hard rubber. We'll keep an eye on that as we go through the race. The top 13, as expected, all on the soft tyres, and also Alex Laho in 16th position. Pretty much everyone at the back, though, alternating between hard and medium tyres. And I expect to see them basically do a straight swap when they all come into the pits later on, try to run it to the end. Yartayan here up into P21. As mentioned in the YouTube chat just now, that this is going to be, yeah, so Ruben Machete actually mentioning that this is going to kill Jarl Tyen's progress, all of the battling going on in front of him, because it's slowing the whole of the pack up. And instead of being like a DRS train ladder, like we would normally see, where you can pass one guy and then another guy and then you're straight onto another guy, he's going to find a massive gap in the grid as he comes through it at some point.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of the drivers he's fighting with here are on the same strategy, so it's not like I can just hang back behind Maggio and wait for him to chew through his tyres, because Maggio is also on the hards, so he's doing a pretty similar strategy here and running the same race. So basically, we are seeing Laho dropping through this pack a little bit. Lala and Schubert have picked him off, and now Fidok is giving him a bit of trouble, and he's hoping to drag, I think, Schluter, Poom, Maggio, and Tyen all hoping to become part of that mix as well. But yeah, if you look at the gap to the lead, Tyen is 16 seconds off of Milnek at the moment, so he is ever so slightly. He's occasionally been able to pump in those 109.7s, but up front, the lead is in clear air on fresh tyres. They can set 109.4s, 109.3s in the case of Stevens, and Grankvist is set a 109.1 at some point as well. So that really shows you the amount of time, obviously on the harder compounder tyre still, so they're not unimpressive lap times, but it really shows you that he could be faster. Stevens has been picked off by Moynier. Look at them side by side through the center S, banging wheels. Stevens desperate to keep this P2, but Moynier uses a bit of push pass down the Ritter Aposta up to Decida de Largo, turn 3. Is it going to be the spark around the outside that sticks its nose in? Oh, Stevens forces him the long way around. And I tell you what, Macho Minute will be loving this, because they're dropping further and further in the rearview mirror. It's finally kicked off in a fight for second position, and Stevens holds on by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, 100%. Stevens is, Munich is going to be loving it. Jarl Tyen is going to be loving it. The main person who's not going to be loving it is Loic Mounier, because he cannot afford to lose sight of Mathieu Munich here when a win is so close. I say a win, we're still a long way from the end of the race, but Loic Mounier here dropping back as a result of this scrap. And Tom Stevens here was able to hold him off. That was really good racing between the two of them. He was placing his car exactly right, and that's one of the things that Tom Stevens is so good at, just placing his car in exactly the right place where your opponent can't really make hay at all. And now he's got to line him up through the first chicane. Usually when you see drivers going for that wide in, tight out exit, that's when you know they're going for the aggressive line. They're going for the switchback maneuver, but he's a little too far back. You see Martin and Grankvist behind them as well. I was seeing, I saw somebody in the YouTube chat just now, Oliver Taras, asking if the one-stop is viable or possible for Jarl Tyen. I absolutely think it is. I was sent a couple of comments by Toby Davis earlier talking about the viable strategies for today, and it definitely seems that if you've started on the medium or the hard tyres, then a one-stop strategy is 100% viable and probably preferable, simply because while the two-stop strategy may be on paper faster, it's only about 10 to 15 seconds faster, and overall you'd lose more time than that in traffic. So I think if you can do a one-stop, you will do a one-stop. The difference being, of course, the drivers at the front, such as Carlos Martin here, who's lining up a move on Jan Grankvist, goes to the inside, and look at Grankvist cutting back at him there. I think Grankvist was expecting Martin to be a little bit complacent into turn 1, but Carlos is cleverer than that. Now Jan's going to try to line him up on the exit, DRS open, but Martin will also get DRS, partly from Mounier and partly also because the detection zone is earlier than that, and Grankvist drops back. But yes, these guys I expect will be thinking of a default two-stop strategy, and then if something changes, if they see it as viable or preferable, they will switch onto the one-stop strategy. And if they go any further than about lap 20 to 25, I think we should start expecting it.
I'm seeing Carlos closing up now on Moynier and Stevens, and I'm thinking back to one of the last times that Martin had a big fight with those two at Spa, and it ended in tears for poor Tom Stevens being flipped end over end at the end of the Kemmel Straight there. So yeah, I think Carlos will probably have that at the back of his mind as well, and I don't think he is going to be too keen to get too wrapped up in this, but certainly from THR and Tom Stevens' point of view, they will absolutely love having Martin start to fight with Moynier as well. But now Grankvist I think he's trying to run these soft tires a bit longer than he ideally would want to, because now Jeffrey Fournier is looking like a distinct threat behind him then. So Grankvist is really in a position where if he pits early now, he could get the undercut. Sure, he'd just be in a really good position in the whole overall scheme of the race, having to pit so early.
Indeed. Talking of the YouTube chat as well, hello to Chris Shepherd. Unfortunate not to see you on the grid today, Chris. Could you shed some light on that? But yeah, unfortunately, we have one of the Red Archer cars completely missing today, so unable to get a reserve in time. I was very glad to see the likes of Ruben van den Hudding jumping into the server quite last minute, because we never like to see a seat left open, and Sergio Fletcher was didn't end up coming along today, so when Ruben van den Hudding joined the server, that filled in a gap. And I'm trying to work out actually who it was who ended up missing the end of qualifying, because we only had 28 cars at the end of quali, and there are 29 on the grid, but I guess it doesn't matter.
I think Van den Hudding didn't set a lap, so...
And Royal pits. Sorry, you're absolutely right, but yeah, Stefan Royal into the pits. He's one of the first of the leaders to come in, and presumably setting up a two-stop strategy. I think the one-stop is preferable, but no, he's going on to the hard tyres. It's genuinely possible to go to the end from here on hard tyres. They were apparently quite overpowered in Super Lights the other day. I'm not sure if that's what he's aiming for. I'll definitely keep an eye on it as we go through the course of the day, but it certainly shouldn't be written off, and neither should Stefan Roll.
Yartan is actually lapping faster than the leaders at the moment on the hards. 1 minute 0.039, and Milnek set a 1 minute 10.2. So the gap has gone from just under 16 seconds to 15.3 seconds to the lead from Yartan. So Tyne is clear Puma and Maggio as well, which is no doubt helping him. But yeah, he's still got Schluter, Hope, Fayot, and Lully in the vicinity.
Welcome to Sergio Fletcher in the YouTube chat as well, saying he only found out on Monday that he couldn't race, but Ruben van den Hudding has jumped in. Jeffrey Fournier, meanwhile, jumps into the pit lane in the Epic Racing Team kart, and we'll see if he also goes onto the hard tyres. I would say 53 laps on hards is a long time. I think it's more likely right now that they're going for the two-stop strategy, but they may still be flexible to a one-stop depending on what happens. We've seen things like that happening before. I always bring up the example of Jan Grankvist at Silverstone last year, when he pitted remarkably early and then somehow was able to extend his tyres right to the end of the race, picked up a win. Robin Pansar was right behind him on that day as well, doing exactly the same thing. So it can happen, and I'm always surprised that we don't see more one-stop strategies in Super League, because every time someone goes for it, it seems to work out. But anyway, Jukka-Pekka Lalu here was the first driver to start on medium tyres, the highest placed driver to start on medium tyres, and running in 13th position in these early stages is not a bad place to be. I would keep an eye on Jukka-Pekka Lalu.
Well, he was.
Schubert.
Schubert's ahead of him on the mediums now. So Sven has set a personal best lap of the race and gotten past, as now we see Singh and Frelick going into the pits from 8th and 9th.
Yeah, my apologies, Sven. I didn't see that you got past Jukka-Pekka there, but there you go. Sandeep Singh, as you said, into the pits. Shimon Frelick doing the same thing, both onto the hard compound of tyre, very good. And exiting out, and Singh just ahead of Shimon Frelick there on pit exit. Sandeep Singh, who, in my opinion, really should have been in Super League from the start of the year. But, hey, it is what it is, and he's out there now in the Epic Racing Team kart, running just a couple of places behind his teammate Jeffrey Fournier, who pitted a couple of laps ago. Yeah,
they've rejoined right next to, that's not Maggio, is it? That must be Van den Hudding now. That they've just been able to leapfrog, as Frelick there, of course, yet to pit. But crucially, Frelick and Singh are still behind Ruhl and Fournier. So Fournier has kept that strong position that he started in. And as he gets close to the pit window of the leaders, that's going to be a cause for concern to those that still want to do the two-stop. Whereas I think the one-stoppers, and somebody in the chat did say that they thought Grankvist was going because he was going for the one-stop and extending that soft tyre stint. And I think they're probably on the money there. As now Dylan Fisher picks the moment to pull the trigger from 10th on in the race. So this should put him somewhere in the middle of that Frelick Singh pack.
Yeah, indeed. David Fidok also dropping down the order there, although doesn't appear to have pitted, so I think something just happened to David there. But Dylan Fisher comes out in P27, about to get picked off for... Nope, that's Van den Hudding going through, so he stays P27, tucks into the slipstream, and he'll have to get past Reuven on track. There's Alessandro Maggio, P15, Jorge Martinez down to P16. I think that was a change of position just then, and... yeah, so Maggio up into P15. Also into the points now is Jarl Tyen, although of course owes us a pit stop, as does last year's winner Mark Schluter, who is one place ahead of him in P12. As you said, the hard tyres are doing him well.
Leader pits.
And Mounier, so Winnick and Mounier both into the pits on this lap. Tom Stevens leads the race. And we'll take a look at the tyres that Maciej Winnick goes on to. Hard tyres, okay. And it was about this time of the race that Toby Davis was saying to me, if drivers pit onto hard tyres, they will be going to the end. Although, like Mounier, unless it has failed to update, is also staying on soft tyres. That's the first time we've seen somebody do that today, which means he is still open to the two-stop. In fact, he would still have to do the two-stop. And Fournier has jumped him. You're absolutely right. Fournier has jumped him there and is actually attacking the back of Maciej Winnick on the exit. Fournier may have pulled a blinder here, jumping ahead of not just Loic Mounier, but also, well, presumably quite a few other drivers, because Maciej Winnick, the former race leader, is just ahead of him. Chris Shepherd in the YouTube chat screaming, "Let's go, Jeff!" And Jeff has indeed gone, as it were. And Maciej Winnick now, P16, has to work his way through the traffic, which will be gradually peeling off into the pits in front of him, but by no means as quick as he would like. As into the pits now comes Stevens, Grankvist and Martin, so Tomasz Vok leads the race, as the three drivers who were ahead of him are all in the pit lane.
Yeah, but surely it's very likely these guys are going to come out behind Milner and Fournier, but where they're going to come out relative to Loic Mounier, then Stevens released, Grankvist too, and I think everybody is switching onto the hards then, apart from Martin, who I think is going for the lead off of the soft tyre then, as they go to the pit exit and onto the red Aposta side by side. That's Tyen trying to make a move on Mark Schluter, is it? And he just nips his way through into P6 there. That was some very, very hard racing, and I think Maggio wants a piece of Schluter now as well.
Does indeed. So Alessandro Maggio ducks to the inside. That was a very late move. Little bit of contact. Stays pointing in the right direction just about, although kicks it sideways. We've seen that happen quite a few times today. These cars are racing like touring cars and bumping and banging just as tin tops would. Alessandro Maggio now trying to line up Mark Schluter again. It's amazing that he didn't lose a place out of all of that or drop back even further, but didn't get quite as good an exit as Schluter did. Tomasz Vok into the pits, Robin Panzer into the pits. Does Schluter go through and lead the race? I think he might have a go at that. And you see them swapping over in the pit.
Milnick. Sorry, Caitlin. Stevens is right behind Milnick then, so he's actually brilliantly capitalised in this pit stop, whereas Moinier and Grankvist have fallen back in the pack.
Indeed, indeed. So we have Tom Stevens now just on, and actually just ahead I saw Jarl Tyen going for a move. That was, and Lahu spins it. Lahu spins it fully around, and he's parked at an awkward angle there. He's going to have to go 300, well, in 270 or so degrees to get back onto the road because of the way it turns, and that is going to cost him a heck of a lot of time, a lot of tyre life as well. Nearly around the outside of him is going to go.
Those softs are crying enough.
They are. They're going to look like 50 pence pieces. Hopefully Alex Lahu is not also crying. He was saying to us after the Mexican race that he regretted leaving. Oh, and look at this, around the outside. Is that Dylan Fisher? Yeah, amazing move there, right around the outside. But it does show you how poorly Alex Lahu's tyres are doing him. But yeah, Lahu was talking to us after the Mexico race and saying he regretted retiring when he did. He could have kept going, and if he had done, he could have taken advantage of the weather. But I think he's learnt from that now, as Maggio there passes Mark Schluter down into turn one, going up into 4th position.
Yeah, we talked all about Tyen's recovery in this race, but Maggio also has had a brilliant drive so far in a car that's a lot less developed, of course. They haven't finished as many races this season, not scored a point since Spa of the Valley team, as we see Milnick now picking off one of the Fraser Tartans. That's Moritz Kropp, of course, we saw being spun around a little bit earlier. Now Tom Stevens is right behind. Surely he's not going to hold up Tom Stevens. Indeed, he leaves the door wide open for the Englishman, and Tom is now right behind the man he's fighting with for potentially the overall win here.
The upgrade race just then, the R&D points that are put in. Jarl Tyne is always telling us that we don't speak enough, and to be honest, he absolutely has a point, that we don't speak enough about the R&D points that these teams put in. TOP Esports technically have the best developed car, just ahead of. HRT is quite well developed as well, and there's a couple of other cars that are up there. THR is about 4th all in all, and as you mentioned before, Valley Esports are really struggling on an R&D, partly because of their DNFs and partly because they're quite a new team. Loic Mounier now is getting absolutely boxed in behind Stefan Roll. That was a close one through turn 1, and he had to check up to avoid running into the back of the car in front of him. And then we've got Kropp, and look at Jan Grankvist now, and Grankvist goes up the inside of David Fidok and makes the move stick, and that puts him right back on the tail of Loic Mounier.
Yeah, and Carlos Mon critical. He'll get through if he can, but he can't. The door closes. Fidok very much not cooperating. We see somebody sliding off in front of them. Who is that? That's one of the HRTs. It's Root there, so Mounier does get through.
Okay, I'm going to have a look back on... I have to admit, I missed that in real time, but I'm going to have a look back on the YouTube stream to see exactly what happened there. I don't think there was any contact between himself and Tom Stevens, who was running just behind him. I think it was just that... Well, yeah, anyway, back to the slipstream train we've got going down, going up the hill rather. David Fidok here is a little bit out of position, has not yet made that pit stop and had a little bit of a mistake earlier on, or something that we didn't see. He's about to get mugged by Sandeep Singh, who has made his stop. Singh now finds himself on the outside, gets hung out to dry a little bit, and that puts him back. Oh, and a big crash! And it's Kropp! And is that Mounier off the road as well? So I think Kropp and Mounier have made contact. Kropp's going to try to carry on just 3 wheels. I don't know why. Well, I think he's got to park that, to be honest, because he's got a lot of the track still to go. But yeah, definite contact between the two of them. And now the question is our championship leader damaged? Let's take a look. So Mounier is going for a move on Moritz Kropp. They're going to come together on the corner exit. Oh, it's just, he got forced over the grass, and then the car got... Well, it got a bit leery, and he ended up going into the side of Moritz Kropp and skewing off the circuit. That is going to seriously damage Loic Mounier's race, because not only has he lost time, but that's also not going to do well for his tyres. He may have a little bit of damage, we don't know for sure. He's just lucky he kept his front wing in all of that.
Yeah, could have been a lot worse, but still, that's exactly what you don't want when you're 5 points in the lead of the Super League World Championship, isn't it? So, yeah, Mounier has kept going. Where has he fallen down to? I think he might be out of the points now, is he? I think so, yes. 18th position. There he is at the back of the train and Robin inside Simon Frelick here. So, yeah, that's a lot of work to do. And meanwhile, Jarl Tyne is going very, very nicely in P3 at the moment on the hard tyres, which he's still trying to do the one stop on. So, yeah, at the moment, you've got to say, Mounier's lead at the front of this title race is looking very, very vulnerable now after that, and that's before we account if he's had any damage. I think he might have just gotten away. It didn't look too serious to me.
Keep in mind that judging by who has and hasn't pitted and where the likes of Frelick and Pansar and Singh were before the pit stops, I think Mounier is probably about 10th, 11th, 12th even in the net order. And, well, I mean, points only go down to 15th in this. He is really on the brink of a poor result here, is Loic Mounier. Not really through his own fault. I think that was just a case of 2 into 1, not quite fitting. And the likes of Jarl Tyne are going to be a little more pleased with what's just transpired. Jeffrey Fournier there ducking to the inside of Jorge Martinez. Martinez ended up having an accident in a situation just like this last time out, where he hadn't yet pitted and other cars were coming through. He ended up coming together with Jan Grankvist, who's just behind him, and that's one of the reasons, well, that's the reason that Martinez ended up being given a hefty grid penalty for this race. But hopefully Grankvist is able to get through a little more cleanly this time, as he's right on the tail of that second Spark Racing car. who is now the first Spark Racing car, of course, with Loic Meunier down in 17th. He has now dispatched of David Feidok there to make up the place. But absolute drama with traffic, 2 races in a row. And I think that just shows you that the risk that you play by pitting earlier, by putting yourself in that traffic. Sometimes, even though making multiple pit stops or making earlier pit stops is strategically beneficial, it can turn sour very, very quickly if you find yourself in too much traffic, or if something goes wrong in that traffic. As now Geoffrey Fournier puts up a position on Poom, and Grangfist does pass Martinez ahead.
Yep, just seen that myself. But yeah, oh, look at this. Martin up the inside, Markinev as well. So Jorge really struggling there, and hopefully my internet isn't struggling too much, because I've seen a lot of comments that's basically making fun of that. Can't do anything, I'm sorry. It's frustrating. But anyway, the Jarl Tyne there, it was a risk to start at the very, very back of the grid, I would argue as well. So he has absolutely made it pay off so far, and now yeah, Grandfist will certainly be a bit high and can hold him up for a few laps as Schubert continues to lead. As we see, even the hards are just starting to go off at this point, 30 laps in. So even Tyne is struggling with tyre preservation through some of the faster corners there through Maguglio. But yeah, Sven Schubert looks like he's just going to keep going on those hards as long as he can before switching to the mediums.
Exactly right. It can happen so easily here. Remember, as Jakob Lally now comes into the pits from second, but also remember Monza, when Tom Stevens came into contact with Jakob Lally, not Jakob Lally, Jesse Lahtinen, different JL.
Yeah, it was Lahtinen, yes.
Indeed. It's in some ways it's beneficial to start from further back on the grid, from outside the top 15, because you get that free tyre choice. But in other ways, you're really putting yourself at the mercy of everyone around you, and sometimes that can absolutely backfire. We've seen that 3 times in the last 4 races now, including today. Maciej Winnick here, still potentially the net leader, although he's got well, pretty much everyone else in close company. Mark Schluter is separating him from Tom Stevens and Geoffrey Fournier behind. But then, of course, Grangfist, Martin, they would both like a real sniff at this victory as well. Both of them still have a chance with plenty of time still to go in this race. We're only 31 laps into a 71-lap Grand Prix, and still the top 3 are yet to make their pit stop. Everyone behind them, nearly everyone behind them, has made their pit stop. And we've got different strategies at play as well, as Jarl Tyne now takes the lead up the inside of Sven Schubert. I should mention, by the way, we noticed as everything was going on there with Loic Meunier that he is on hard tyres. Of course, initially when he came out of the pits, we thought he was on soft tyres because the game had not yet updated. I thought that was strange. I said as much at the time, but he is in fact on the harder compound of tyre, which would make a lot more sense. Meanwhile, that's Fournier side by side with Grangfist, and going through now up the straight towards Ferradura. Grangfist will have the inside, Fournier's on the outside. Grangfist fends him off, but a great attack there from Geoffrey Fournier. Oh, and look at the little look there from Carlos Martin.
Getting back past him because Fournier undercut them, remember? And
yes.
Yeah, Carlos desperate to get involved as well. But yeah, it did look to me like Schubert wasn't holding up Tyne all that much. There was quite cooperative between the two teams, surprisingly. But yeah, now it's got clear air in front of it, which is exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, indeed. Sorry, that wasn't Fournier attempting to pass Grangfist. That was Grangfist repassing Fournier, as you said. Carlos Martin now on the back of Fournier himself, and lining him up in front. Is that Grangfist on Schluter by the look of it? Up the inside. Tom Stevens now going through on Maggio. Makes it stick, but with a little touch, actually. They're lucky not to have got hooked together like Oh, and a around, and Fournier's off, and he's oh, and a big crash. Big crash takes out. Is that? Oh my! Wow. Well, we're going to have to wait for this all to play out to see who's involved, but Hygo Poom is involved, Stefan Rohr is involved and out of the race, and that all started with Mark Schluter coming together with Geoffrey Fournier. Where's Fournier ended up? He's P14. And was anyone else involved in that? That was one of those accidents where you try to say somebody's name, then somebody else gets involved, and it just snowballs. Schluter is out of the race, Rohr is out of the race, Fournier has probable damage. He's dropped down the order at least, and we're going to see a replay now of that absolute chaos And we've not... Okay, here we go. So we're on board with Hygo Poom, and he was so unlucky in this. He's going to come around the corner and just see cars going everywhere. And then slewing across the road is Mark Schluter straight into the side of him. Nothing that Hygo could have done. And he has... Yeah, you can see the damage there. Heavy steering damage. Here we are on board with Jeffrey Fournier, and this started off between him and Schluter. Has he just run into the back of him? Was there a micro stutter? I think he's just run into the back of him, I'm afraid to say. And then Schluter slews across the road, and I have to say he should have held the brake there. He absolutely should have held the brake, because there was no way he was going to get that car back under control again. I got massively told off for that when I did a similar thing back in Jeddah, and rightfully so. And Mark Schluter, unfortunately, has not done well there to avoid making that a bigger accident. And Hygo Poom taken out, Stefan Roll taken out, other drivers behind doing a fantastic job at avoiding them. Both of the Spark cars avoiding it fantastically well. I'd love to see that from on board with Mounier, and one of the Green Stripes cars gets a wheel in the halo, which has got to hurt, but luckily that halo is there.
Martin,
this is only sim racing.
Martin was first on the scene as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'd love to see it from on board with Martin. Okay, so let's take a look at this on board with like Mounier. Comes through the first couple of corners, and he is going to be one of the first drivers on the scene, not quite the first driver, but by the time he gets there, it's an absolute mess of flying wheels and smoke. It's like a smoke screen. Look at that. That could have been Fournier's race over. That could have been Mounier's race over several times over, and the fact that he's got through that shows you just why Mounier is where he is in the championship. He's so smart with his racing, his placement of the car, and just the fact that he doesn't take unnecessary risks. Great stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and we're hitting another accident in real time. There's that Vac all over the back of Jorge Martinez. And yeah, Thomas Vac, I think there might have been a bit of connection issues as he was going through Desida de Lago there. But I think it seems to be all okay now. Yeah, I think we're all just sort of on edge. You forget how narrow it is there on the run out of the center S on the Desida de Lago. It's a really the sort of incident you'd expect on the first lap, honestly. But yeah, that's so unlucky, I think, to see Roy Poom's days and like that, and indeed Schluter and Fournier losing a bit of time as well, though he is still, as you say, in P14. But yeah, anyway, while this has all been going on, Tyne now 2 seconds ahead of Schubert, who's been caught by Milnek, Stevens, and Grankvist, with Martin closely in tow. Now he's cleared Maggio as Vac finally gets through into P12 as Martinez loses it another place. As here we go, Milnek up the inside into turn 3, they nearly lock wheels. Maggio is up to P2, and that could well be the net lead of the race. And now Stevens sees the sister team being a little bit of a roadblock. It's been a bit of an awkward moment here. There we go, he lets him through as expected, it be said, and then pulled across in front of Grink as if, oh, we're not letting you through as well, Jan, but he might have to.
Yeah, for sure, that's the net lead of the race for Munich, and you can see Jan Grankvist going right around the outside of Sven Schubert. Carlos Martin now coming at him to the inside of, not quite to the inside of Jinsao. To be honest, if he'd done that, I think he'd have screwed himself up for the straight. And now he's got the slipstream, he'll have the DRS as well, and this should be a relatively easy maneuver. Goes to the inside, there's not much space there, but Schluter leaves him enough, and Carlos Martin does go through. I thought there might have been a little touch between the two of them actually, but not too bad. Martin does manage to maintain that that fifth position, and now set off after Jan Grankvist, who is in close contention with Stevens, who's in close contention with Munich, and then of course you've got Yartayan just a couple of seconds up the road as well, but yet to make that pit stop. This is tremendous stuff, and we have just reached over the halfway point in the race, so still as much of this to come as we've seen already.
Yeah, really difficult to see who is going to come out on top here at time with that alternate strategy. You could definitely see a scenario where he is catching them at the end on fresher tyres, potentially, if depending on how pit stop cycle work. Time caught on the mediums, so everybody else switches maybe back to a fresh set of medium or the softs for the final stint. So it really depends who pulls the trigger first and who reacts first, isn't it? As we see Stevens starting to close in. Look at Carlos Martin. He's about to make another move on Grankvist, I think. Down the start-finish straight. The TOP pulls to the inside. Carlos really on the charge today, and he slots into P4 here. So if Carlos can pick off Tom Stevens and Milnek quickly here, that could be absolutely critical for his chances of winning. He's only won one Super League race, remember, Canada last season. He's desperate to win another.
Exactly. So Jan Grankvist now keeping his eye on the driver we were just talking about, Carlos Martin, not letting him get away. The DRS train has reinvented itself somewhat after this first pit window, although not for the lead, with Yartine still holding steady out there and actually doing exactly the same lap times as pretty much everyone behind him as well. I think Yartine will be hoping that everyone's tyres are going to go off a bit towards the end of the race, because I'm imagining the pace that Jarl is going to have once he pits. But by the way, actually, I've just noticed Carlos Martin is the fastest driver on track right now. Set the fastest lap last time around. I don't know if you've mentioned that already, Ed. If you have, I apologise.
Don't think I did.
But yes, Carlos Martin, the fastest driver on track right now, and taking tenths at a time out of Tom Stevens ahead of him. He's right. I mean, you can see there, he's less than 0.4 of a second behind him as they come out towards the Reta Reposta. And if Stevens didn't have the DRS from Munich up ahead as well, I think he might be a bit of a sitting duck here.
Yeah, Maggio fighting with Stu in the background though. Both of them yet to pit off of the hard tyres. Maggio's got the inside. He's not giving up. Side by side through Ferradura, and it's the Valet that comes out on top there. My goodness. Schubert was not giving up without a fight, but Maggio really forced his hand there. That was fantastic racing. Amazing they didn't lock wheels and crash into each other.
I have a feeling I got Schubert mixed up with Schluter just now, but I guess you can understand why. Similar. At least it's the first 3 letters that are correct of the surname there. But anyway, Sven doing a really good job so far in 7th position. Yet to make a pit stop, of course, but this has been a pretty decent stint from him. And I don't think he's lost too much time in traffic either. But look at Carlos Martin now, right with Tom Stevens, taking a look to the outside. Stevens breaks late into fence and sliding sideways like a rally car goes Carlos Martin, more like Carlos Sainz. Fantastic. Now out of turn 3 he goes, and once again will line up Tom Stevens. Take a look to the outside line. Stevens knows he needs to cover it off. It's going to cost him time, but if he hadn't done, Carlos would have been straight through on the inside line, and Stevens is able to just about hold him off there. I thought Martin was going to go through for sure into turn 1.
Yeah, that was very, very brave from Carlos in there. Yeah, that didn't work for Tom Stevens, because now he's fallen off the back of Maciej Milnek. Interestingly, Milnek tying setting very, very 4,000 apart. In fact, Milnek was 1,000 previous lap. So, yeah, this doubling is very much the advantage if you can make something happen here. So he's just going to keep pressure on, but Grankvist will be wanting to take advantage for Carlos. He's a little too the rear there.
Okay, Carlos Martin has another opportunity, although he'll need to line Stevens up first, get a little bit closer. Of course, you sometimes see drivers launching an absolute surprise attack with a whole bunch of push to pass, but the trouble with that is that if it doesn't work out, you've ended up wasting a bit of your push to pass, and you've only got a limited amount of it over the race. Carlos Martin knows that. To be honest, it's one of the main things that I would love to see implemented into Super League in the future. I don't know if it's entirely possible to do this, but I'd love to see a little graphic that tells us how much push to pass they have left. It's one of the main things that we're missing out from this broadcast. We do know that Carlos Martin has quite the bit of machinery underneath him. That TOP esports car has been beautifully upgraded over the course of the year. It's just gone from strength to strength, and it's felt for a while that a win is overdue for the likes of Carlos Martin. Szymon Frelick, of course, got one at Silverstone earlier this year, thanks to, well, first of all, thanks to a brilliant drive, but also thanks to a penalty for Loic Mounier after a move on the final lap of the race. And even on that day, although Frelick ended up being the winner, he wasn't able to cross the line first and celebrate it, so I expect that TOP Esports will still feel that they have unfinished business with that. And Carlos Martin, I think today has a very good opportunity just because of how close he is to the likes of Matthew Winnick, to the likes of Tom Stevens. He's fending off Jan Granqvist. There's a yellow flag out there somewhere. David Feidock's in the pits, although I don't think that's enough to bring out a yellow.
It's Laho. Laho in trouble.
And he's missing his rear wing, and you can see that he's crabbing his way along the straight, and he's got to slow that down actually, because that thing looks as if it's about to lose control entirely. But Alex Laho has had another incident, probably his second spin of the race, and we're going to see a replay of exactly how this has happened. So he's coming towards Jun Sao. Is it going to be on acceleration out of the corner? There we go, twitches it about and wallop into the barriers. And that's what I was saying in qualifying there about how you have much less grip than you expect coming out of that corner. The camber of the turn doesn't really lend itself well to car control, and you end up going flying off at a bizarre angle, whichever way physics desires.
Yeah, and now we cut back to another Furman trying to push to make. The problem is now he's behind Sven Schubert, and Schubert will be getting a call up from Toby Davis. Hold up Moynier as much as you can, I think. And understandably so, not just for his own race, but for THR as well, and for the sake of Johan. But yeah, you can tell Moynier desperate to get through, and it almost would be easier if Schubert and Maggio were a little bit further apart, because Schubert is getting a bit of toe from Maggio down the straights then. You see Murno has switched to a fresh set of mediums, I believe, and set the fastest lap, 108.5, which is about a second lap quicker than what the leaders are doing. We've got less than 30 laps to go. It's 28, 27 to go. So we're not far away from those final pit stops if somebody wants to go from the hards to the mediums and try and get to the end here. So could be that Moynier's only got a couple of laps here with these two in front of him before the way is cleared in front.
You mentioned fastest laps, and actually the lap before this, Jarl Tyen set his personal best of the race despite being on 44 lap old tyres. And I think that shows you just how comfortable he is out in front. He could feasibly go all the way through this race without stopping if he so desired, although I'm sure he won't. Like Mounier now taking a look to the outside of Sven Schubert. Oh, and that gave flashbacks there. Mounier on a Fraser Tartan car and a little bit of contact just as we had earlier on, but this time they both end up staying on the road. Like Mounier trying his best to stay with Sven Schubert. I said earlier on that in the net order he might be about 10th or 11th, but actually he's in 8th position as it stands, and doesn't appear to have too much damage on the car or anything like that. He's still running smoothly, so I think he's got away with that incident a little better than he could have done, but even so, that could have been even worse there, coming together with the other Fraser Tartan racing car down the Retto Posta.
The problem for Moynier is he's almost certainly going to be racing with Tyen at the end, isn't he? He's got another run as Tyen goes into the pits then, as if on cue. Moynier making the move on Schubert as this is happening, and I think he's made it through cleanly. Schubert is also going into the pits, so no surprise he didn't defend that one. So medium's going on that THR. Where's the Tyen coming out? This is crucial. Sure, the medium won't show up just yet, but it should do halfway around this outlap. Schubert's one showing up immediately.
Indeed, so Sven Schubert out of the pits, Jarl Tyen out of the pits, he's in P17, but do not be alarmed because there are plenty of drivers ahead of him who are going to have to make their second stop. I don't think anyone's yet to make their first stop. I think Tyen may have been the last of those, but there are definitely some two-stoppers ahead of it. Never mind, I'm completely wrong. Alessandro Maggio and, of course, Maggio and Panzer and... yeah, never mind, I don't know where I was going with that, my apologies, but anyway, we've still got at least 4 drivers ahead of Tyen who are yet to make a pit stop, and presumably some who are going to make 2 stops as well. But Jarl Tyen here will be feeling relatively comfortable in P17. It's somewhere to work off of. He knows that he's not going to be finishing any further back than that, providing nothing dramatic happens. The only way is up now for Jarl Tyen. As into the pits also comes Carlos Martin. Now this is crucial because when Jarl Tyen pitted just a couple of laps ago, he was just a couple of seconds ahead of the likes of Martin. This could actually be a genuine response to what happened there from Jarl Tyen. Martin, he would have known that he had to make a second stop for quite a long time. And if he was going to make it, it makes sense that he would make it now so as not to drop further back from Jarl Tyne. Tyne has jumped Carlos Martin and seems to have a good 2 or 3 seconds on him as well. Good stuff.
Has Tyne actually just put 2 hards on him? So, sorry. Not change. Bold in THR. That implies he might be saving a soft stint for the end. Unless something has gone very wrong with the what the Artine is doing, we are effectively I suspect that this is just a very out of the box thinking of THR.
Okay, Ed, you sounded like something out of the 1980s there in terms of you were very robotic. But I assume what you were saying is that Jarl Tyne has gone from hards onto hards. It's now updated itself. He is on medium tyres, and I think that makes a lot more sense, because if he'd gone onto the hards again, I think that would have been a mistake. But anyway, Tyne now goes past Michael Falkenhayn. Falkenhayn, who we haven't mentioned much today, but is still running and looking for his first points finish in Super League. Jeffrey Fournier coming into the pits as well, so Tyne will be ahead of Fournier, who was running much better earlier on in that race, and then of course had the incident a few laps ago. And rejoining the race now in P17 himself, Tyne is looking close to the top 10 and is going to run to the end from here.
Can you still hear me?
Just about, although I'm afraid you're very roboty.
Okay, well, there's not much I can do, I'm afraid.
Okay, we're looking now at the race for the lead, Matthew Winnick and Tom Stevens. Do we think this is still going to be the race for the lead? Okay, sorry, I was just getting distracted there, but yes, do we think this is still going to be the race for the lead at the end? Or is it now between these guys up at the front and Jarl Tyne right from the back of the grid, who is not going to make another stop?
It really depends. I think those who started on the softs are really going to struggle with stop. So Tyne has kept it very, very clean. He's lapping in the 108.5s. I think he's got a very good chance here if he can just pick them up quick. It's how much traffic he runs into, the likes of Fischer, Soriano, back, that are going to be the big problems he's got to deal with.
Okay, so we have about 33 laps to go in this race now. I don't know why I said about and then it gave you an exact number, but there you go. Just over 30 laps to go in this race. Winnick leads from Stevens and Granqvist. These three have stayed pretty much stable the entire way through the race, and you just get the feeling that Stevens and Granqvist have something planned, something stored up for the end of the race, and they know that their chance is going to come right at the very end. Winnick has always gone well here at Abu Dhabi. I remember in FS1
it's
and
not
FS2.
Abu Dhabi, it's Brazil.
Sorry, Brazil. My apologies. He's always gone well here at Brazil. I remember in FS1 and FS2 he's won races here. And of course, Super League, it's been one of his happy hunting grounds as well. Although he's not quite managed to take a win here yet. Of course, was on pole position here today quite brilliantly. Just 0.5 of a second ahead of the reigning champion. Meanwhile, Michael Falkenhayn pits, puts Shimon Frelich back into the top 10. And there was a move a little further down, I think Maggio and Schubert potentially for P13. But yeah, Falkenhayn dropping outside of the top 15, puts Frelich back into the points.
Indeed it does. Yeah, there is you can see Sven, who is obviously hit a little earlier than Maggio, is now sort of paying the price of that. As them and Tyne are both sort of on a similar strategy here. But yeah, back to Milne incredibly well from pole position to hold on to that lead and keep Stevens at bay. And be really given so far in this race. He's kept his nose clean, and you got if they can get the tyres to last, Milnek is in the box seats here.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, you may be forgiven for thinking that that these guys here are relatively comfortable. You can see they've got 6 seconds to Loic Mounier behind, but Jarl Tyne, starting from the very back of the grid, just as he did in Monza, is posing a real threat to the leaders here today. It's looking increasingly likely with every lap that goes past that he's going to at least well, yeah, I'm not sure he's quite going to take the lead. I'm trying to work out what the pit delta is. I think he might take the lead if the top three come into the pits around now. Otherwise, of course, and there's a yellow flag out there somewhere. Oh, and there it is.
On the Adonis's.
Yeah, we got an Adonis. Is that... don't tell me Menno Klont's retiring from the race. No! Come on, Menno. You got to get that going again. Menno Klont, of course, one of the nicest people in the league, but is having a little bit of an issue out there. Stopped right on the inside of Subido de Boxes and looks set to retire. We'll have 23.
Menno knew he was going to be lapped.
So that's true, but you don't have to wait for the entire field to go past. I don't think this is a case of just getting out of the way of the leaders. This is definitely an issue here.
Yeah, it looks like the me commentating being good for Menno curse seems to have come to an end. A curse? It was more of a blessing, really. So let's see what happened to him. Come, Jun Zhao. Just get two on the. There we go. Just spins it up, and he's sent sideways. So I think that mistake has happened there. He's seen the leaders coming in the rearview mirror and just slowed to a stop here.
Yeah, but again, you don't need to do that. I don't understand. I mean, it would even be more time efficient if he'd driven through the pit lane. So I do not think that he's giving...
He has gone to the pits now.
Okay. But anyway, there we go. And another yellow flag out there somewhere. So once again, let's hope that everybody is okay out there. They are not, because Daniel Scott has had a massive accident into the barriers. Daniel Scott, who's making a return to Super League today after a few rounds out, and is, well, we're going to see a replay of this. Dax Racing have not had the best of seasons. They had a big score a couple of races ago, but then were immediately repassed by Green Stripes last time out, and that is a big shunt for Daniel Scott, who just kicks it sideways out of turn 2 and slams into the barriers. So 23 cars remaining indeed. I think Menno Klont's actually continuing with this race, so I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but there you go. And 23 cars.
Maybe Menno left the stove on.
maybe so, I don't know.
Tynes past Fisher, by the way, while we've been watching all of that. So he's gotten into P9, so that's one car dealt with. Stroyan up next.
Okay, so what I was saying before is that despite starting from the very back of the grid, I think Tyne is going to take the lead at some point, although it really depends on the leaders here, because no, surely they're going to the end. Surely they're going to the end. They've got to be. I was saying earlier that one-stop strategies are probably the most efficient today, and at this point, if they pitted, they would come out behind Tyne. So I'm pretty sure that they are just saving it up now, going to the end of the race, and trying to maintain that lead. Carlos Martin now also passes Dylan Fisher for P10. So whether or not this is a battle with Tyne really depends on his pace now, and I'm going to keep an eye on it as the race continues. And you can see now he's getting up into P8 past Jose Soriano on much fresher and much more able tyres. He's got Tomasz Vok and Sandeep Singh just up the road from him now, and a move surely incoming.
He's making the progress he needs to. The big one is Moynier then. Even if Tyne can't quite steal the lead with this strategy, if it's enough to get him on the podium, that would be potentially enough to get him into the championship lead. We'll have to see how this filters out. Yeah, issues earlier on has to give, but it's blown the race over time, blown a big hole in Moynier's championship hopes essentially. So he's got to hope he can do enough in this final stint to make up for it and hold on.
Yartayan's laps are about a second faster than anybody ahead of him. This is incredible stuff. Just like we saw at Monza, I'm absolutely getting flashbacks here today from Yartayan. And do not think that just because he started from 29th on the grid that it is over yet, because it is absolutely not. With 15 laps remaining, this all comes down now to how quickly he can make his way through this traffic. Okay, we're watching Yartayan through Ferradura. He's got Tomasz Vok just ahead of him on the road, and Vok himself seems to be getting a little bit held up by Sandeep Singh. And I expect by the end of the lap, Tyne will be within attacking range. He'll get the DRS, although Vok, of course, will also have the DRS from Singh, so that puts in a little bit of an extra complication. Slight twitch from Tyne, through the left-hander, but nothing too dramatic. He'll still have a good chance here coming up the hill and over the crest. Meanwhile, I noticed Tom Stevens got within 5/10 of a second of Maciej Winnick down into turn 1 that lap. We're going 3 wide. Look at
Sing!
contact! Oh my goodness! The Tyne has lost a wheel!
Time's out!
The dramatic race that we were teeing up the entire time has come to an end, and that means to say that Loic Meunier has a real chance now of taking the championship 1 round early, just as we hoped would not happen, and he would still need to gain a couple of places for it, but that is absolute heartbreak from Jarl Tyne, who squeezed himself to the inside of Singh and caught an ugly, sticky outy bit of the barrier and was just torn to shreds. I want to see that from on board. Well, I want to see that from a bit further back to see if that was a realistic move from Jarl Tyne. It looked as if Singh was squeezing him. It looked as if he was covering him off and didn't quite leave a car's width. But Singh would say that he wasn't entitled to that space, that Jarl Tyne wasn't entitled to that space, as he didn't quite have enough of his car alongside him. I really think that Singh should have known that Tyne was here. Let's see it again. So Tyne goes to the inside. That's a realistic move. It's borderline. It's uncomfortable. I would definitely have been clenching my buttocks going for that maneuver, but it is something that I would potentially have gone for myself. And the fact that Tyne has been forced into the wall is unfortunate to say the least. I know there are going to be some people angry at Sandeep Singh after that one. I personally think I understand where he was coming from as well there. It's just the kind of thing that happens. It's the kind of thing that happens in traffic. But it is tragic, both for Jarl Tyne and also for the championship fight. Toby Davis is going to be absolutely thumping his desk. And Loic Meunier has pretty much a free run now to... Well, I don't want to say the championship, because if they were to, I'm going to work it out. Actually, I'm going to work it out in a few seconds. But I think Tyne will still technically be in championship contention coming into the last round. But it's I hate to say it's Meunier. It's Meunier's to lose now. I'm saying it's Loic Meunier's championship to lose.
Yeah, well. Certainly, it could so easily be the other way around, couldn't it, Caitlin? With what we saw earlier with Morris as well. So, but nonetheless, that incident with Sandeep. I'm not sure Sandeep Singh actually saw him in time, and I think by the time he did, he realised it was too late. Sandeep has gone into the pit lane there, and that's a shame because Singh was having a great race up to that point. And yeah, he was being caught so early down the straight because both Tyne and Vac had DRS there. Of course, Vac will be delighted because that's somebody he doesn't have to race against. That's out of the picture now. But yeah, for Tyne, that's so frustrating given how strong he had been in the last couple of races to have that kind of bad luck happen to him. But again, was this sort of he was always going to have to do this charge in the final stint, and I wonder if it's all rooting back to that decision to put the fresh engine in and start from the back of the grid, meaning he had to stay out of trouble, and unfortunately, with less than 20 laps, almost 20 laps to go, it went wrong there.
It's a pretty easy calculation now. Granqvist and Stevens, if they finished where they are now, would be out of the picture. They would be out of contention for the championship, unless, of course, Meunier dropped back even further. Loic Meunier, to win the championship today, will have to be first. If he's second, then Tyne is still technically in it on countback. But if Meunier wins this race, then he wins the championship with it. I've noticed that Toby Davis is in the interview room. I have to admit, okay, Toby, if you are listening to this, I would probably prefer to wait till the end of the race for this. Partly to give you a chance to cool down after that, because you are understandably probably going to be quite angry, but also just for timing's sake. But anyway, I do emphasise with the whole THR squad and with Jarl Tyne there, because that was a very... I mean, I've said it enough, but that's just unfortunate. Like you said, it could have gone either way. It happened to Loic Meunier earlier on. Traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. But it is properly taken away from Jarl Tyne there. And unfortunately, I think it's taken away from the championship fight as a whole. And I, myself, am pretty disappointed to have seen what's just happened.
Yeah, I fully agree there, and I think Toby himself was sort of very reluctant about us doing in mid-race interviews, so I think I might take Toby's advice there for the time being and wait till the end, as you say, especially since it's not long till the end, only about 11, 12 more laps, as we see Stevens now starting to defend from Grankvist, and it's these two desperately trying to keep their title hopes alive. It's really between these two now with time set cruelly denied with the collision, and Milnek. As again, I think he's just looking more and more comfortable up front now. The threat from behind starting to fade a little bit.
I'm just looking at the YouTube chat to see if I can glean any important information about that crash, but it's honestly just an absolute mess of people shouting over the top of each other. The Pablos 221 shouting Leroy Jenkins. Now that is an old reference, but there you go. No, it's not funny, admittedly. Like, I get, if you don't laugh, you'll cry at some of these things, but that is absolute tragedy. Tom Stevens here, still in with a chance of winning this particular race, on the back of Maciej Wynek, just half a second behind, and I'm keeping an eye on the... keeping an eye on the times, as Sergio Fletcher says, Caitlin, do not read this chat. Caitlin, save yourself, says Yamadox. Okay, I will ignore it, because we've got a tense fight in our hands still. Good advice indeed, good advice indeed. Only 21 cars remain in this race. I'm afraid to say that Menno Klont did end up retiring, so 21 cars remaining. Remember that points go down to 15th position, so there's still a good reason to continue if you are still in this race. And with the amount of carnage we've seen over the course of the day, who's to say that drivers in 20th place aren't going to end up with a chance of points here? Alessandro Maggio, surely Maggio is not still overdue a pit stop, right? Surely he's still... I mean,
No, he did his pit stop 13 laps ago, Caitlin.
I was going to say, so why is it
gone from hards to mediums?
So the graphic there is wrong. Okay, that makes sense. He's lining up Jose Soriano now. Goes to the inside, goes through, nice move into 8th position. And now let's keep our fingers crossed and pray for his internet.
Yeah, well, he's actually made 3 moves in about 3 laps there. Past Schubert, past Fischer, and past Soriano now. And past Lala as well. So he's really having a great race, actually, considering how much bad luck he's had. And we've got to cross our fingers that the last 10 laps go well for both Maggio and Milnek, who've had even more patchy internet in the last couple of weeks than I've had tonight, which is saying that. So anyway, fingers crossed it all goes through, because he's been doing a marvellous job on track, as has Maciej Milnek as well. Hasn't really put a foot wrong under immense pressure from Stevens and Grankvist.
Okay, Sven Schubert here, P11 on the back of Dylan Fisher. There's battles wherever you look, and unfortunately that graphic wasn't very helpful just now in telling us which of these battles is genuine. I have to admit, at
I think they all are.
Well, they are, but also there are going to be drivers on much fresher tyres than other drivers. There are going to be people who are just out there trying to nurse their car to the end, and there's also going to be people out there still feeling rejuvenated after their last pit stop. So it's not quite as straightforward as the gaps that you see. But you have to admit that this race is still quite a close one. We've got the top 3 separated by just a second, and that's not a second between each of them, that's a second full stop. And that one's going to come right down to the wire. I imagine that Stevens and Grankvist are still saving up that energy, potentially saving up that push to pass, saving up their tyres for one last attack towards the end. It's almost like a horse race, really, where the early leader is unlikely to be able to hold on right to the end. Maciej Wynek will have something to say about that, I'm sure. But Tom Stevens and Jan Grankvist are hungry and ready and waiting. And is Sven Schubert still on the back of Dylan Fisher? I think he's probably one of the drivers who's still feeling quite good after his last pit stop. I think he'll probably feel good about getting past Dylan Fisher here, but he's also got Lalu on his tail. And Lalu, while he hasn't been the fastest driver today, I think has actually been pretty racy. I've been pretty impressed by him as far as Lalu performances this year have gone. And I think, did Frelick just pass Frelick and Fournier maybe? It was definitely a move further back, so Fournier and Frelick still fighting as well. And Frelick Fournier going defensive on the exit of the corner to try to break the toe from Frelick behind.
Finally getting out of 14th place. Interesting one to watch will be Martin, who has made 2 stops, and he's gaining on Panzer by about 6-7 seconds per lap, but he's about 3 seconds behind at the moment, so he's starting to run out of laps here. Could be quite tense, especially with Moinier's title very much on the line here.
Up the hill, Carlos Martin. 7 laps to go. I mentioned earlier that Martin had a good chance of winning this race, although it's rather fallen apart in this second stint here. He took some fantastic avoiding action during one of those accidents earlier on, the big one on the Retroposta, but since then has not really been able to make up the time again. He's dropped back from the likes of Mounier and Panzer, and it'll be interesting to analyse Carlos's race and work out exactly where this has actually happened, because I really thought earlier on that we were on for a Carlos Martin podium. But
you know, if anything,
yeah,
Tyne and Sandy picking each other is good for Martin, because that put both of them out of the way. You only had to pull back.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, not the way he'd like to do it, but that is true.
No.
Panzer now is on the back of Mounier. I still don't think Mounier is going to wrap up the championship today. As I said before, he would have to actually win the race, but he will knock 2 of his championship rivals out of contention. Stevens and Granqvist, they will both be completely out of contention after this race, and it will just be a case of if Mounier scores points at Abu Dhabi, he wins the championship. Robin Panzer now, DRS wide open, and I think if Mounier is still using his brain, he'll make sure not to do anything silly against Panzer, because yes, it's not ideal if Robin goes through, but I think an accident between the 2 of them would be even worse. It's Loic's it's Loic's championship to win now, as I mentioned before, and I'm expecting him to take the Nico Rosberg approach from now on. Basically, just drive at about 80% of your ability, maintain that championship lead, and remember, if you score points, you win.
Yeah, well, let's keep in mind last 2 races, Robin Panzer has hit the back of somebody. In the case of race taking Omagua in Singapore as well, and Bright Kilk in Mexico before that. So yeah, certainly not an ideal person there behind Europe. Isn't there? Robin, to be fair, his career hasn't been quite clean. It's just these last couple of races that have not put him in an amazing light, but he has actually had a very, very good performance today, and he's really kept up with the front runners.
Wow.
2-lap old, 53-old hard tires. Here's Grant. This is all for a move, but not quite ever there on Tom Stevens.
Yeah, okay, so here comes the attack now for Jan Granqvist. I think he's getting a little bit impatient now, trying to get past Tom Stevens. He goes to the inside, my goodness, has to bail out of that one, and you can see him getting squirrely as he's off the ideal line into the corner. I think he realised that if he wants to have a chance at Winnick, he's got to get past Stevens. He was hoping that Stevens would have a shot at Winnick a little bit earlier, because the ideal situation for Granqvist now is that Winnick and Stevens start fighting and lose time as a result, and Granqvist can take advantage. But if that isn't going to happen, then Jan has to make his moves himself, and that is exactly what he just tried to do. Didn't work out this time, but we have 4 more laps to go. We still have some more chances now. Up the hill we go. I've got literal hiccups now. This is getting so exciting, and I think this is now going to buoy Stevens on, because he knows that Granqvist is on the attack, and now he's got to pass Winnick to get some clean, and he goes to the inside. Look at Stevens, he takes a look, they nearly touch. Winnick fends him off, and he's going to get the better run down the straight. Look at Granqvist, this will bring him back into contention as well. DRS open on the back of Stevens and Granqvist. Winnick goes extremely defensive, goes to the inside, but not quite far enough, and Stevens takes a look, and Winnick gets the better run through the corner and just about makes it. He fends off the leader, and he keeps the lead of the race up through Ferradura. Fantastic race.
Yeah, Milnek was able to read the movements of Stevens quite well there into turn 1 and block him off around the outside, then make him lose him. So Grank is one shot here if he times it right, but they are just 3 more after this one, and it's going to be see which is going to come out on top in the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Okay, so Tom Stevens just 0.6 of a second behind Winnick. Grangfist is just 0.3 of a second behind him. I think this is Grangfist's turn now to have an attack. He's going to go at it down the straight, goes to the inside. Tom Stevens isn't able to cover him off, and to be honest, probably won't want to because he'll want to get all of that slipstream from Winnick up ahead. Grangfist does get alongside. They lock wheels. They just touch, and he does go through. He manages to hold it, so Jan Grangfist will get through into second position. Now look at Stevens trying to get that switchback maneuver. Goes to the outside line, but Grangfist has it. That is a done deal, I would say. No, it isn't, because he slides. Grangfist slides. Stevens is back alongside him up towards Ferradura. Winnick's gaining a gap, and Grangfist fends him off. Fantastic. I really thought that was going the way of Tom Stevens there as Grangfist kicked it sideways. It looked as if he was going to be facing backwards all of a sudden, but he manages to hold it, and now he's at risk of losing DRS to Winnick.
He was trying to get on the parallel as he could out of Decida de Largo, turn 3 and 4 there, and that nearly created an opportunity for Stevens, but Grangfist judges it well, holds on, and now he's just got to close those 9/10 to Milnek to take victory here, but Milnek will never want to hold on more than he has right now.
Exactly right. Winnick has had 3 DNFs in a row. He hasn't won a race since the USA back in, I think that was May when it was.
Oh,
and
Panzer P4.
Panzer is up to P4. He has passed Loic Mounier, and importantly, they have done it cleanly. Fantastic. Carlos Martin is just behind as well. There's a yellow flag out there, but luckily it's not the leaders. I can tell that because the gaps are still as they were. Winnick leads from Grangfist and Stevens. We have 2 full laps to go after the one that we're on now. So 2.5 laps to go. Somebody's, and that's Ruben van den Hooydonk getting out the way. Exactly. So there's no collision there. And here are the leaders once again. We daren't take our eyes off them because it's like something's going to change as soon as we blink next. Grangfist on the back of Winnick, being chased down by Stevens. They got Panzer 3 seconds behind them, which admittedly is relatively comfortable, but not if they fight too hard and take each other off. Great stuff.
It is. So we're getting to the business end of this race, and Grangfist's got that crucial gap to Stevenson now. He's got a couple of goes at trying to pass Matt Milnek. He's got a great run with the DRS as they go into the first corner. Oh, you saw Grangfist caught it almost exactly the. He didn't quite have the straight speed, and that means he's going to have to tuck in behind and wait for another go. Mounier, though, still defending from Carlos Martin, but Robin Panzer for a P4 at the moment.
Okay. 2 laps to go, including the one that we're on. So not even 2 full laps to go. This is when things tend to happen at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Remember 2021 when Stefan Rot passed Colin Spork on the last lap of the race to take the World Championship away from Yannick Bock. Remember Formula 1 in 2008, that famous "is that Glock" moment as Lewis Hamilton came through to win the championship on the last lap. This can happen, and Jan Grangfist wants to make it work. Okay. We have just a few more corners to go before the next opportunity. Grangfist lines him up. Tiny bit of a twitch there. I'm not sure he'll be close enough this time. If he can get himself close enough for the next lap, he may still have a chance to slipstream up to the line. We may end up with a photo finish here at Interlagos, and not for the first time either. Jan Grangfist through the Senna S's and out towards the Retro-Reposta. He's got to stick with Mathieu Winnick here. He's got to make sure that he doesn't lose too much time, otherwise he will be completely out of opportunities. We have just about probably about 40 seconds left in this race now for Jan Grangfist to do something, or for Mathieu Winnick to hold on to that lead. Whoever wins this, it is going to be richly deserved. Mathieu Winnick, as I said, has not won since the USA. Felt as if he deserved so much more from this season, and probably did. He's retired from the last 3 races, including once from the lead, and now he just has left-handers to go before the end of this race. Can he hold on? There's 4/10 in it coming out of Jun Sao. I think he should just about do it, but it's going to be a drag race to the line. Grangfist will get the DRS, but it's surely not quite going to be enough. Up to the line they go, and Mathieu Winnick wins his 2nd Grand Prix of the season, takes the victory in Interlagos by 0.4 of a second. Jan Grankvist is second, Tom Stevens is third, then it's Robin Panzer and Loic Mounier who takes the championship lead, and I believe it is just between him and Tyan now going into the last race of the championship. He was already in the championship lead, I should clarify, but he takes a much more decisive championship lead than he had before. Carlos Martin is 6th, Tomasz Vog is 7th, Alessandro Maggio is 8th, Jose Soriano is P9 in the Green Stripes car, very good drive from him. Dylan Fisher P10, then it's Juk-Pekka Lalu, Sven Schubert, Szymon Frelick, Jeffrey Fournier and Jorge Martinez, the top 15 and the drivers scoring points. And then out to the points were Sandeep Singh after that collision, David Fidok, who had an off earlier on. We didn't see it live, but I took a look back at it on the replay and it was just a twitch coming out of Jinsao. Then it was Falkenhayn, Murno, Flack and Van den Hudding, the rest of the finishers. Very dramatic race, very chaotic, very impactful in terms of the World Drivers' Championship, and there you see the results. Maciej Winnick is the winner for the second time this year, then it's Jan Grankvist, reigning champion, then Tom Stevens, Robin Panzer, Loic Mounier, who is for all intents and purposes champion-elect coming into the next round, although he still has to wrap it up. Then it's Carlos Martin, Tomasz Vok, Alessandro Maggio, Jose Soriano and Dylan Fisher, the top 10. And then we move on to the second slate with Juk-Pekka Lalu, Sven Schubert, Szymon Frelick, a disappointing day for Szymon, Jeffrey Fournier and Jorge Martinez. Then outside of the points were Szymon Frelick and David Fidok, who, let's not forget, had barely any practice coming into this, so still a good job to finish P17. Then Michael Falkenhayn, Lucas Murno and Scott Flack. And then the final finisher was Ruben van den Hudding in just his second GPVWC Super League race. And then some very dramatic DNFs, including Jarl Tyen, who was going for a move on Sandeep Singh and ended up coming to blows with the barriers. Then Menno Klont, Daniel Scott, who had a big crash, Alex Lahoe, who had several crashes, Heigo Poom and Stefan Rohr were both involved in a major pile-up, as was Mark Schluter, and then Moritz Kropp, of course, came together with Loic Mounier. Let's not forget that moment, which could have been so dramatic for the championship as well. But that's the lot, I'm afraid. Don't go anywhere, because we still have interviews to come up, and I have a feeling they're going to be extremely spicy today. Hopefully not too spicy for YouTube, but there we go. And of course, we still have plenty more GPWC action to come from the rest of the year, including the championship finales of all of the series. Okay, we are going to bring in our first driver to the interview room, and brace yourself because it's going to be Jarl Tyen. Okay, Jarl, hello. First of all, are you okay?
Define okay.
Yeah, no, I expected that was going to be the answer. Jarl, okay, let's take it from the beginning. So, first of all, I found it a little bit strange that you were starting from the very back of the grid. It's not very often that we see engine penalties in Super League. Can you talk us through why that was a thing that had to happen?
In a straight fight against Loic, I don't think I had a... maybe a slim chance, but definitely it would have been harder than what it was than taking a new engine. A new engine was worth close to 3/10 a lap, and 3/10 over a race distance is 21 seconds. So as long as I don't lose 21 seconds, it's definitely worth it. And it was already worth it by lap 10. I was only 14 seconds behind the lead, so. And it didn't go any further up from then. It actually lowered. It went down. So it was already worth it by then. And then obviously everybody pits, and I'm in the lead by myself. And the pace of the guys who pitted are the same, and I'm just able to come out on much fresher tires and go close to 1.5 seconds a lap quicker. And I was tracking to pass Loic with like 6 laps to go, and then potentially been in a fight for the top 3, and seeing as they were right next to each other, you never know. Could have easily been P1, but that wasn't the target. The target was to beat Loic, and that was very, very likely considering I had much fresher tires. But Yeah, as you probably saw, there was some complications.
There was, so we might as well address the elephant in the room then, a big crash. And I would like to get your, your PG-13 description of what happened there.
Yeah, no swear words, don't worry. It is a shame that the head of DC is going to come in and do this race, and obviously Sandeep is connected to Loic, and he intentionally turned left on the straight. He first of all moved on the braking, and then when I was on the inside, he's squeezing me to the wall, and there was a sticky out part of the wall there that tore my wheel off. Without that, I would have probably been able to continue, but still he put me in the wall, which is, you know, unbelievable. So a shame that even the head of DC is going to go ahead and race dirty like that. And the whole race, I had people that were in the same group that Loic is in. The whole race, they're using P2P to defend, like overly using P2P to make sure I'm staying behind. And there's people that has less wings to also make me stay behind. There's just a lot of roadblocks along the way that definitely lost me a lot of time. Alex, for example, Alex Lahu, he was intentionally going pretty slow, and the second I pass him, he spins out. So, I mean, you can't get more obvious than that. So yeah, a real shame that it has to come to this. Why not just let the race go by itself? I really wished it was going to be a clean race, but I did expect this to come down. I just didn't expect it to be as extreme as the DC himself put him in the wall. That was a shame. But yeah, the move itself was risky, but it was definitely legal, and I definitely deserved space. And obviously, in another world, I definitely would have wanted to do that different. But considering the two drivers I was battling they were both in the same group, if I stay behind, they can just DRS defend. So I had to overtake one of them, seeing as they were double P2Ping to defend. I had to get by one of them, and it was a risk worth taking at the time. But obviously, it ended in tears. So yeah, it's a big shame. I worked my ass off in these races. I try my best, even from the back of the grid, you know, likely to get a podium once again. So I take the serious is very serious, and yeah, something has to change. This is not professional at all. This is very, very disappointing. I've been a part of loads of series, and this is the worst DC I've ever seen in my life, and it's no joke. So that's my statement.
Well, I understand your frustration, Jarl, but these are some very serious allegations. You used the term intentional a couple of times there. Would you stand by that?
Yes, I do stand by that.
Okay. That's spicy. I was expecting some spice, but that's quite a lot. Ed Hunter, do you have anything to add for your time here?
Well, commiserations first of all, because we never want to see a race end like that. And I thought up until that point it had been a very, very strong drive. And obviously, you talked a couple of times about how you felt some of the other drivers that were friends of Loic were ganging up on you a little bit. We saw a couple of times in that race that some of the Fraser Tartans, in particular, there was an incident with Krop and Moynier that unfortunately took Moritz Krop out. So I don't think I think it. I've got to be careful what I say here. I think there was a bit of. It's not good when it happens to either side, really, because I don't think we want to see drivers crashing into each other and not being able to finish the race, and that's outside of there being a title battle as well. So I don't know how to turn this into a question, but I feel like, would you say you're the only one that's been a victim of this?
To this extreme extent, yes, because they have a group of 8 to 10 cars. We have a group of 2 cars. There's a quite big difference. So it's quite obvious that there's a big difference in terms of the quantity of cars, and the incident between Moritz and Loic was even on Loic himself. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
That's as simple as that. It was a racing incident slash Loic's fault. So I mean,
Okay, I'm assuming you've looked back at the replay then, because
Yeah.
I didn't think you were there when it happened. But
no,
fair enough.
I was out for 15 laps, so I was able to look back at some things.
Of course, yeah, right. I didn't think of that because I was so caught up in what was
No,
happening. My bad.
The difference there was Moritz was never going to do anything to take anybody out. He was racing his own race,
Oh no.
and that's it. We as a group of THR, we don't do stuff like that. When was the last time you see anybody hold anybody up on like insane amounts? You know, dedicating the whole race to hold somebody up. Yeah, we don't do that. So.
Well, no. I think usually it's the other way around, isn't it? It's been you through like we saw today, which was very sporting, because you were the faster driver, of course, and had the better chance of a better result. It just we'll just the championship. It's a 16-point gap now going into Abu Dhabi. Obviously, it's not the circumstances you would want, but no reason to give up, right? Title's still. It's difficult, but it's still doable.
Absolutely. My thing, you know, considering the first 3 races, I had something like 9 points. The fact that I'm even in the fight, I'm very pleased about. And technically, before this race, I already kind of accepted second place in the championship. Like I said, the pressure's on Loic to perform, and you know, to an extent he has. He's done what he needed today, but you know, I had to do something like thinking out of the box in terms of strategy and taking a new engine, and you know, obviously now I have 30% engine more than Loic into the last round. So even if I finish a position behind him today, that would have benefited me a lot towards the last round. So I definitely have a good chance at doing well for the final round. But I really hope to be a bit closer in the points than, was it 60 points as you said?
16.
Yeah,
Not 60.
so-
You'd be out if that was the case.
No. Yeah, 16. Yeah. But yeah, like I said,
You're the only one that's still in it, I think, at this point.
Jan got second. He should be close, right?
Jan is 28 points behind, I believe, with
Ooh, yeah, you're
25 left. So I think it might be mathematically, unless Jan has a few points hiding under the sofa somewhere, it's going to be difficult for him to.
Right. Yeah, I
sneak
forgot
in.
I forgot he was a bit further behind. Yeah. But yeah. I'm not gonna give up. Yeah, definitely gonna be very difficult gaining 16 points on Loic. The good thing is I have the tiebreaker, so if we're tied, then,
That's true. More
so,
wins.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely need to step up for Abu Dhabi. I'm gonna definitely try my best. That's the only way I'm gonna respond.
Absolutely.
No other way to do it, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking to us, y'all. And
any other
sorry
comments?
if some of my questions were a bit interrogative. I don't know if that's a word, but I felt like I was grilling you quite hard there. And I hope it does. No, just trying to do my job and be as unbiased as possible. But I think I do feel a lot of sympathy for what happened today, because like I said, nobody wants to see a title race end with one of the title contenders in the wall. And yeah, so I think commiserations. The luck was definitely not on your side today, but fingers crossed, at the very least, you can still end the season on a high in Abu Dhabi in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, thank you, Ed. Thank you, Caitlin.
All right, no worries, y'all. So then, who shall we talk to next? I think I am tempted to listen to the thoughts of a man who finished second today, Jan Grankvist, because he certainly had a very, very interesting race as well. Nearly won it. So let's hear from our reigning champion who finished P2. So Jan Grankvist joins us now in the interview room. Hello, Jan. That was a great run to P2 today. Obviously, you really had to fight, especially near the end, to get past Stevens. The win just agonizingly out of reach after a great fight between you two and Maciej Milnik. But it was an interesting one, because in the first stint, I noticed you were really, I don't want to say struggling, but you were backing off, and a couple of drivers like Carlos and Jeffrey were having a go at you. And then it was really, when all the chaos kicked off, you were able to keep your nose clean and keep the leaders basically in sight then, which set up that fantastic finish. So what was your point of view on it?
Yeah, the last 5 laps were fun, but yeah, I really need to get this off my chest. This race was so boring for me. I hated all of it except for the last 5 laps. Just
And
following
talking to
in
us at
dirty
the end,
air.
surely that was nice.
Yeah, but yeah, following in dirty air, just leeching the DRS advantage from the others. I have to say I was really getting annoyed because you can't really even get a rhythm or anything because the dirty air will be inconsistent everywhere, and you just have to keep backing off. It's like Sunday driving, but even then it's even worse than that. It's like you just, I don't know, felt like a chore for like 60 laps of this. But yeah, I'm glad to have had that great battle with Tom. If I was a bit more wise with my push to pass, perhaps Tom as well, we could have had a much better battle for P1. But Mache played us with that. He had a lot more saved up, so I couldn't use any because I only had 2 seconds left after I made that mistake, having just gotten past Tom. And yeah, that was fun, and congrats to Mache once more. And yeah, GG Tom.
Yeah, certainly not as painful as Indianapolis the last time Mache beat you to P1, where he
No.
the lap traffic got in the way. This time it was at least a straight fight, even if the dirty air, like you say, was frustrating. I wanted to ask you sort of, obviously, Jan, with that result, you're 28 points behind Loic Mounier now, so out of mathematical contention for the championship. And we knew after score, and I know there was that frustration with the incident with Marquinhos, that it was going to be a long shot today, but to your credit, you absolutely fought tooth and nail to the very end. Is there a sense that you got everything? Because you have to say, with really strong performances this season for Jan, it's a very, very spirited title defense. Even if obviously there were a couple of DNFs, and like we said, not all of them necessarily fault this season, but nonetheless, the highs have been really, really high.
I have to say you're lagging a lot. I don't think I got like half of that.
Yeah, I'll come out and come back in and see if that fixes it.
Meanwhile, Jan, yeah, I think you drove very well today. It's quite funny to me that... Oh,
Sorry
hello,
about
Ed. Welcome back.
I'll let you
No,
carry on.
I was just saying, Jan, I think it's very funny to me that you said this race was boring, because to me, it was possibly one of the most crazy races of the season. It's just that from your point of view, you were just sort of waiting for something to happen. Is that just a byproduct of the racing nowadays? And if so, is there anything that you would change about that?
Yeah, it's the current car mod that we're running. I think there's just too much of an advantage from the DRS that you can leech off of. So that's why you see these really extended DRS trains, and why many drivers they won't go for the lead, just because they can gain such a huge advantage through their stint by staying behind and leeching off of DRS. So yeah, that's made the racing a bit annoying. Less so of a hard-fought battle and more of a waiting game until the final 5 laps, just like today. But yeah, for sure, with a field where there's 30 cars, it's not a problem for the commentators or spectators, where there's always something that's happening. But for individual drivers like me today, it's not great. You practice, you do dedicate quite a bit of hours just to get up to speed, and it feels like it all goes to waste except for the last 5 laps when you actually have to start pushing. So yeah, that's my take on it anyway.
Just like real Formula 1 in a way. Anyway, thank you to Jan. Obviously, unlucky not to come away with the win, but another really, really strong performance, and best ending the season on a high in Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, always lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
Right, so that's Jan Grankvist in the books then. So let's talk to the man who did finish just a couple of tenths of Jan Grankvist in victory after a lot of bad luck. He's going to be absolutely delighted. Let's give a big warm welcome to Maciej Milnek. So, I'm delighted to say Maciej Milnek joins us now from HRT. Maciej, what an excellent performance all day. You take pole position, you lead from the front, you let them all score behind with each other, and in the end you come out with just enough to beat Jan Granqvist over the line. That was after so much bad luck. And in Singapore, you were so gutted about being disconnected from the lead with just a handful of laps to go. But definitely for it, well done.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I'm happy that I finished after those 3 disconnects. That's first. Second,
It seemed I had the connection problems today, so instead.
Thanks for taking this away from me, Ed. But
I'm glad to do that.
About the race, I'm very happy that I managed to win. Of course, it wasn't easy. Start was a bit easier than I expected because I didn't use any P2P. But after that, I was afraid that Tom will just save tires behind me, overtake me before the pit stops, and try to pull away, and I won't be able to stick with him because of my tires. But luckily, I was the first one to pit, and it was very crucial to stay ahead of him. And it was pretty close on the exit because we were side by side when he left the pits, but luckily I managed to keep him behind. And when I was passing others, I tried to use as little P2P as possible, and I think that paid very good at the end because I heard that Tom had little to no P2P after passing the traffic. Jan had like 20 seconds, and I think I had like 30. So that was an advantage that I didn't know at the time I had, but it was good to have. And then on the hards, I think I didn't have the best pace. I think there were some people quicker than me on hards, but I think thanks to the setup and the wing settings, I was able to keep Tom behind and Jan at the end fairly easy. And yeah, finished first, very happy, and I'm gonna enjoy this one because I think that's the first win that I had to actually withstand the pressure for such a long period of time, and I'm very happy that I managed to do it.
Yeah, I completely, very, very well deserved. We heard from Jan just now that he said it was the most boring races ever for him, that it was about 65 laps of staying behind and 5 laps at the end where he finally got to push and try and break the dirty air, essentially. How strongly do you disagree with Jan that it was a boring race? Obviously, you had a different experience being the one in the lead.
When you lead, you have to strongly disagree because you are the pace setter and you have to think about being quick, but also having to manage tires to some extent and thinking about not getting overtaken by others behind on strategy or just on pure pace. And when you're in the lead, that's totally different story. But when you are sitting in the train, it's exactly like Jan said. You just sit there and wait for either if something happens in front of you or you wait until the finish line, pretty much.
Absolutely. So, obviously, good news for you. In Drivers' Championship, you're 9 points behind Simon Frelich, so it's an all Polish battle for P5, and you're still in the fight for P5 in Teams Championship as well. So, obviously, I know that's obviously something to aim for. But I know in the back of your mind, you must be thinking about next season as well, because you've shown so much strong pace this season. Luck's not always been on your side, but you got to think a bit more, and maybe next year it could. There could be a really, really strong season coming from you in 2026.
If I drive next year, then yeah, I will do all that I can to battle for the championship. I'm saying if because I'm not sure I will do this GPV next year. I'd like to, but I'm not 100% sure I will do it at the moment.
Okay, well, I'm not going to try and influence your decision either way. Although I do know another championship you can do if you're that I happen to be in charge of. If you need someone else to go, but nevertheless, oh, you've been there. You've been there. I remember.
You
been there, done that.
In FSR?
I might mean that, yes.
Ah.
I'm being evasive so that Toby's probably in a bad mood already. I don't want to anger him further. But anyway, thank you very much for talking this match, Jay. A beautiful drive and a well-deserved victory after so much bitter disappointment in the last 3 rounds. You richly deserved that one, and I don't think anybody would take it away from you. So well done, and best of luck for the final race of the season.
Thank you.
So then, we've got Toby Davis and I think Alessandro Maggio waiting to be interviewed. I think Toby is probably the more pressing one, with all due respect. Alessandro, really strong day, finishing P8, but I think Toby is begging to talk to us, so I think we'll put him not out of his misery, but give him a chance to voice his views on the race. So, Toby Davis, team principal of THR, joins us now. Toby, I know you were chomping at the bit to talk to us, so sorry for keeping you waiting. And I know I was going to say a mixed day, but it certainly was a frustrating day, I think, in the end, with especially what happened to Jarl and also losing Peter at the end. Man, a very, very tense battle nonetheless, but certainly it was a day that promised a lot more than it delivered, and I think certainly a lot of sympathy to you all for what happened in the crash with Sandeep Singh.
Yeah, sorry, you're extremely laggy, but the
Not much I can do.
okay, I think, to be honest with you, I think Jarl drove an exceptional race up to that point and was easily on target to be at least P4, probably catching the leaders in the last couple of laps. Tom, as you say, he perhaps on another day could have potentially saved a little bit more push to pass in the traffic, but it wasn't to be quite for him today. Ran out of push to pass towards the end, and those last 3 laps where I think Jan and Machier had a much better push to pass tally, if you like. They were able to just make that work. So congratulations to those 2 for finishing ahead of Tom.
Toby, we heard a bit from Jarl about the decision to change the engine and start from the back of the grid, and he said that, I knew if I just did what Loic did, I was probably going to finish behind him, and I had to do something to gain up to 3/10 per lap, is what he claimed. Knowing what happened, it's easy to say in hindsight, knowing what happened, but do you think it was the right decision in hindsight?
Absolutely, yeah. We expected a fair race and to be able to overtake people cleanly. If people make it hard for us, that's okay. It's understandable. You know, obviously we're at the back end of a title fight. You know, you don't expect to be, involved in a deliberate act. So that's obviously not what we were hoping for today.
Okay. And can I ask as well for a brief comment on the Asia Tartan side of things? Obviously, a pretty decent race for Sven Schubert, getting a P12, but unfortunately Moritz taken out in a collision with Loic midway through the race. We heard Jarl's opinion on it. He seemed to think it was Loic's fault. I don't imagine you're going to have a distinctly different view, but I'll ask anyway.
I can form my own opinions. I think the situation with that is that Moritz was going side by side with Mounier through those corners, and Mounier was obviously trying to get through, and they made contact at turn 2 just a little bit, which unsettled both cars. I think according to the racing rules, probably Moritz didn't quite leave enough room on the exit, but Mounier left the track, kept his foot in it, and drove into the side of Moritz. So not ideal either, to be honest, to have ended Moritz's race in that way. That's a sort of one of those, but certainly it wasn't anything deliberate from Moritz's point of view, and he immediately after was like, oh no, what's happened? I didn't, that wasn't intentional, because Moritz is a good lad, and we all have very good morals at THL. We obviously want to compete, and we're very competitive. That is very different. We want to be as competitive as possible, and we want to make it difficult for other drivers if it affects your own race and helps your own race and stuff like that. And obviously we're sister teams, so they make it easier for one another when overtaking one another. It's goes without saying, just the same way that Carlos Martin could have overtaken Meunier in the last couple of laps had loads of extra pace, and Meunier's tyres are gone, but didn't, and that makes complete sense. You know, if you're working together behind the scenes, that sort of thing makes absolute sense. What doesn't make sense is to drive someone into the wall, and we've seen that twice in 2 rounds now. From that group, we saw Marquinez do just the same thing to Jan and take him out at Singapore. And Grankvist unfortunately now is incapable of winning the title, and of course we've just seen the same thing here at Brazil. So yeah,
I'm not 100% sure that Jorge Marquinez did that one intentionally, but if you know better than I do, then
I didn't say that. I said he took a
Okay.
championship rival out. That's
okay.
twice in 2 rounds. That a
Okay,
championship
I just wanted to
rival has been taken
clarify
out.
because
Yeah, no, I don't.
it could have been misinterpreted that way.
I don't think Marquinez made our life very easy at Singapore either, which is absolutely his want. He took 4 seconds out of our overall race time over 2 laps, dumped all his push to pass to try and overtake Jarl again, and 2 corners later, Grankvist goes around the outside and he's trying to make it difficult for him as well. He just got it wrong. I don't think that was a deliberate act, but it nevertheless still ended Grankvist's race. Yeah, it's what I've witnessed today is very different.
Okay, right. I think that's
Sandeep Singh is long enough in the tooth to know what he was doing there, and Jarl had an easily enough overlap, and Singh has moved right down the straight and then left in the braking zone and deliberately put him into the wall.
Okay, well, thanks for making that crystal clear for us. Just to end on a slightly more positive note, it's not over yet. 16 points currently the gap between Yalta and Loic Mounier. You got to feel the chances may be a little bit lower now, but there's still just a small chance to think it every day to level
we'll try to get as a good a result and a good as performance as we can. A 1-2 would be ideal to finish the season off, but there will be nothing nefarious from our side of things against Loic in any sort of retribution or retaliation. That's not what we're about. We want to race fairly and perform as well as we can. So that's what we're going to do.
Well, that's good to hear. Especially as Laura wasn't the one that hit you.
As angry and as disappointed as I am today, that is absolutely not going to happen. And anyone who suggests that might happen, even within the group, will not be racing at Abu Dhabi. I feel that strongly about this. That's not how it's going to play out. So, Loic drove his own race today, and it's not his fault either. We should all be very aware of that too. And he drove a very good race to P4, especially given the contact with Krupp earlier in the race. Sorry, yes, he was.
You're doing him too well.
Yeah, he was overtaken by Panzer. But yes, you're absolutely right. But my point remains. Yeah, let's try not to. Loic is going to be a deserved champion at the end of the race at Abu Dhabi, and from his point of view, deserved. It's not his fault, this stuff.
Yeah, I think I fully agree with you on that, Toby. So thank you very much for talking to us. I know a difficult day, so commiserations on the result, but still the team style is in the bag, and we never know what could happen in Abu Dhabi. Great livery, by the way. We love it. We love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Very much like Tron.
So yeah, I was saying to Caitlin before the race that we've never had a chance to celebrate our win. We've won the team's title three seasons in a row. Last 2 seasons it's been won at the final round, and for once we've been able to celebrate it before the season's end. So not a great day for the livery necessarily, but yeah, nice to be able to celebrate it. And yeah, I'm very proud of the team, and I just want to say that everyone has worked so hard for this round, and literally everyone. And I'm so proud of their standards and their morals, and they can all hold their heads held. They can hold their heads high, and yeah, we'll move on to Abu Dhabi and try and do the very, very best we can.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to us, Toby, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. Yeah, take it easy, guys.
All right. I think we are running a bit late, but we might just enough time for one quick word with our 8th place finisher, Alessandro Maggio. Is impatient. I think he's the last one, so let's quickly drag him in and have one quick chat.
Internet gives up.
Oh, great. Thank you, Caitlin Penny. So we're joined now by Alessandro Maggio. Oh, was he talking about Alessandro or me? Could be either today, I guess.
Either.
But,
Yeah, either. Alessandro, you
ma-
finished the race.
Yes.
And not only finished, it was a great race. P8. He absolutely
Yeah.
charged through in that final stint. Talk us through it.
I'm honestly just so staggered that I actually made it past lap 1, to be honest, because I have no words. I don't know how my internet held on for so long. Like, I did have a couple of moments in the race where I was like 600 ping or something like that, and I was literally shaking to the thought of like losing connection this long into the race. But ultimately, I don't know who I got blessed from. I hope Ayrton Senna, but somehow I finished the race, and yes, I'm finally able to say that I finished my first Brazilian Grand Prix, because I didn't compete in the last one.
That's true. I joke with Jay that I seem to take on all of his internet problems, so I think I seem to have done the same to you as well. Don't think
Yeah.
Senna had much to do with it.
Thank you, then. If it was you.
Yeah, and I've forgotten what your voice sounds, Alessandro, because
It's been so
so
long.
long since race you finished. Montreal last time, wasn't it?
Yep.
Certainly, season that is, like I said, I think you've definitely, there's a big case to be made of you being one of the least lucky drivers this season, one of many least unlucky drivers. So it's so great to see, as you say, not only did you get past the first lap, but you got a very, very strong finish in the top 10. So we're very on time, Alessandro. Give any final to say before we let you go.
I mean, if we take into account every single DNF that I had this season, 2 were caused by driver error, so Melbourne and Singapore, so the last time round. All the other times, I either got disconnected, desynced, or had my power cut in Silverstone, that was. So, if it wasn't for all of these, I think a top 10 in the championship standings would have been something more realistic. Now, I'm not even sure if I'm going to make the top 15, but yeah, I mean, at least...
You are 15th at the moment, so...
Okay, let's try to finish on that.
3 points by Mark Schluter.
Ooh, okay, that's nice. All right.
I mean, that's provisional. We don't know if there's any penalties coming, but we'll go with that for now. So,
Oh, yeah,
and
right.
Valet the P8 ahead of Tartan as well.
Okay, nice. Right, I mean, yeah, honestly, I don't think it could have gone any more better than this, because I did have some sketchy moves, I'll admit. I was lucky with the traffic, I was lucky with people retiring, especially Jarl and a couple of others, but honestly, I'm happy from my side with the race I did. The pace was pretty decent with the car I had. I didn't do many mistakes, if any at all, and I just kept the focus I needed to bring the car home. And honestly, I'm also very surprised by my tire wear. I wasn't expecting to do a one stop in any lifetime, to be honest. But yeah, very nice way to finish the season, at least. There's still a round to go, but you know, I'm not sure if my internet is gonna hold on for the last race as well, so might as well think it won't.
If my internet keeps acting up, then surely yours will be fine. That's
I
Alex. Anyway, brilliant job today, Alex. It's always great to hear you and your positivity as well, because I think I can hear the smile on your face, if that makes sense, which is lovely to hear. So, best of luck ending the season on a high, and thanks for talking to us, and thanks for waiting so long.
It's fine.
All right, I think with that, the interviews are done, so I'm going to hand over to Caitlin. Hopefully, just as my internet completely destroys itself, and we can end the broadcast. What's been a dramatic Brazilian Grand Prix. Maciej Mulek back in the winner's circle once more, and Boyne now 16 points ahead, getting to the final season. So we have got a decider, but dramatic circumstances have put Yartine at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly, and I have to admit, today has been disappointing. It's been an exciting race. It came down to just half a second, let's not forget that. We have seen some absolute cinema today. But at the same time, I think there are some mixed feelings coming away from it, and there is no surprise at all that that interview room was a little bit spicy. I hope that this is all going to be cleared up, or at least somewhat put behind us as we go into the last round of the championship. But I guess there's only one way to find out, and that's to be there. So make sure you make it in 2 weeks' time. So that will be Thursday. I want to get this absolutely right, actually, because it's the last round of the championship. But it'll be 2 Thursdays from now, which is the 6th of November. Exactly right. There we go. We also have the championship finales from all of the other categories up until then, so keep your eyes out for that. The FS1 championship is still yet to be decided as well. And then, of course, we do have a championship decider between Loic Mounier and Jarl Tyen. They're separated by 16 points going into the last round at Yas Marina. Until then, we will see you later, so take care. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Ed Hunter for joining me in the commentary box. Also, thank you to Fabian Jungbluth for being the broadcast director today. I'm very sorry that I have not mentioned that so far today. But yes, Fabian taking over from our regular broadcaster Vince and doing a very good job of it as well, so thank you for that. Anyway, see you guys later, and goodbye.